There's a guy to my right, and he wanted to get to B. So I'm pre-aiming it. And all of a sudden, I see fucking Chad Ochocinco dive through the air like Dennis Rodman. And instantly, he's just gone right to B. There is no chance on God's green earth I'm killing this guy. Impossible. You dolphin dive quick. So he is just immediately right across the chasm. By far the safest way to cross a lane. Activision devs do not play their own game. It's not your dad. Your dad doesn't support you.
You should know. You worked at a coffee shop, you stupid bitch.
My name is Casey, and absolutely not fucking Tanner, because my parents don't hate me that much.
Hey, did they have just 8 patches lined up, but they just didn't release them because they were on break? No, you moron kids.
Then we'll, of course, get into it. Change your fucking name and get scammed. He's feeling under the weather.
I probably won't say another word until Stay Humble, so have a good pod, Raz. I'll be here listening.
Got it. We are live. Welcome, muchachos and muchachas. I don't think that's a word, actually. What is girls? It's not jovenes. It's like young
muchachas.
People. Is it muchachas? Maybe
that's I think young girls. Yeah, I think muchachas is young girls.
If you speak Spanish, let us know. Welcome to the show. Today, we are talking about...
Yeah, we're right.
The beta testing of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022-2222 edition.
You mean the full release demo?
The full release demo, I guess.
It's not a beta, yeah. No, they pretend it's a beta. It's not.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Welcome to the show. We have a lot to get into. I'm very excited to get into this episode. We did stream some gameplay of it yesterday. If you were present for that, or if you saw that, you will probably know how this episode's going to go. If you were not, then you might not know how this episode's going to go. But we have a lot to cover, a lot we want to talk about relating to our experience. This episode is basically going to be beta first impressions. So before we get into that, a couple of quick announcements. If you're here live, or if you're listening to the early access on Patreon, for those of you, patreon.com/Dropshot, ad-free early access episodes, bonus episodes every month, and monthly hangouts.
This one's going to be super early today. Damn, they're getting it today instead of Monday. Really early, huh?
Yeah, insanely early, exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I might do this one Saturday. I probably will. We'll see. Okay. I don't know.
It could be a good idea if you did, honestly, but
yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. See how I feel tomorrow.
Don't care.
So tonight we are doing a Damascus hangout for all of our Damascus patrons. We're thinking movie night again. Don't know what movie, but we're thinking about it. You know? We are indeed thinking about it, and we're going to try and find one that we want to watch together. We've done a movie night once before. It was a lot of fun. We would basically all just watch at the same time through a Discord stream, kind of chat a little bit while it's going on. I forget the name of the last movie we watched, but it was cute.
Oh, man.
Is it Ready Player One?
I don't remember. No. It was
a rom-com we got baited into, which is fine.
Somewhat of a rom-com,
I guess.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. Today we're going to watch something else. It's going to be fun, though. I had a lot of fun last time. It's starting at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So if you want to be there, just...
Free guy.
Free guy, that's right. So if you want to be there, join the Discord. Make sure your Patreon account is linked so that you can join the channel. And then we're all going to be chilling in there. Watch a movie, hang out, vibe. It's going to be a lot of fun. Any and all Damascus patrons are welcome.
I like the suggestions we got today. That was like an early 2000s, like... comedy, like they'd say like Super Bad, American Pie, something like that would be kind of fun.
Oh, what's the one? Oh god, there's another one I never saw, but it's like a classic, and it's the exact same type of movie as like Super Bad. It's a little older. That's my Yeah, that's My Boy Blue. What is that movie? You're My Boy Blue.
Old School?
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
I don't think I've ever seen that either. I've also always heard about Old School, but I've never seen it.
Same. Yeah.
When you Google,
it's a great movie.
You're My Boy Blue, it comes up with Old School, so I'm assuming that's it.
That's almost certainly it. Yeah.
Maybe we'll watch that if we can find that on a streaming platform. That's the thing. We have to find somewhere that has it.
Well, we'll think of something. So yeah, anyway, we're going to do that probably. Or watch a different movie, something like that. But it's going to be fun for you Damascus patrons. Be there. Other than that, we will probably be recording a Patreon ep on Saturday. If not, definitely by Monday. We have a lot of bonus eps to cover for this month for the Patreon that we are very excited to get into. And they're going to be really good. We have a lot on the docket, as it were, for those. So keep your eyes on that. And I think that's pretty much it as far as I'm concerned. Any other things we should mention, Tanner?
I guess not. I guess we announced that we already did the giveaway winner on... Yeah, we announced that on Wednesday. No, I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right. So let's get straight into this bitch. We have broken up this episode into two broad categories. And before that, some caveats. I've played about 4 hours of the MW2 beta. Tanner's played a little more. 6 maybe?
Oh, I don't think I played that much. I'm like level 21 or 22, though. That's what I do know. So I've played that much as of now.
Okay. So we played a fair bit of the beta. However, I did not play Prisoner Rescue at all, and I did not play the game mode Knockout at all. I think Tanner didn't either.
No.
Okay.
We'll try them out, though, for sure, but as of now, we haven't played them.
Yes. And the reason we didn't play them is because I didn't wanna. We'll never play it on release. Don't really care, and it doesn't really matter what our impressions are on a shit game mode we'll never play, and none of you will ever play either.
That's true. Maybe we won't play it, actually.
Maybe we'll try them, but it wouldn't matter if we never did, right? Because those are shit game modes. Unfortunately, I was baited into playing the third-person game mode, which we'll get into a bit. But with those caveats aside, we did play everything else in the beta. And I will also add, I used pretty much every weapon you can use in the beta, at least for a little while. M4, AK-74U, Lockman sub, the semi-auto DMR, M16, the sniper. I think there might the dog shit SMG with a 10 RPM fire rate. I probably didn't use any LMGs. I know that much. And I think there are 2 or 3 you can play with in the beta. So there are a couple guns I didn't use, but I tried to use a lot of different types of weapons. And that will come up as we talk more about our first impressions. So with that said, we've broken this up into 2 categories: out of game first impressions and in-game first impressions. Out of game meaning everything that we think about the game that doesn't take place literally inside of a match. We're going to start with that because that section's a little smaller. And within each category, in no particular order. First of all, the crashing issue. People are getting wild on the timeline. They're seething that their game is crashing. Stop complaining. It's a fucking Call of Duty beta. Of course you're gonna crash. Duh. Why is this surprising to you? Stay mad, and they'll fix most of the crashing issues before launch. Every single beta you should expect to crash in. I crashed probably... I didn't crash as often as some people claim to have crashed, to be fair. I probably crashed in 4 hours 8 to 10 times. Not great, but not that bad. Exactly what I expected to happen in a Call of Duty beta. You're gonna crash. Oh well.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking relax. And you don't need to go wild on the timeline saying that it's insane that you're crashing, because duh, you're gonna crash? How did you not expect to crash? And that's kind of be a running theme for today's episode, is people whiling about things that they should have just known were going to be the case. Crashing is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just don't know why anyone's tweeting about this.
Crashing is one of the things that will absolutely get fixed, mostly between the beta and the full release. You're still going to crash in this game 2 years from now. It's going to happen. I still crash in Warzone every once in a while, but it won't be to the extent that it is now. It's a lot more difficult to port a game to PC than it is throwing it on a PlayStation or Xbox. There are countless different PC combinations. I mean, thousands of different combinations someone could have in their build. That's a lot of shit they have to account for. Of course, you're going to crash. Everyone's crashing, actually. I haven't talked to anyone who has played the beta and not crashed. So, yeah, I mean, shut the fuck up about it. I think, actually, the crashing was, like, best case scenario crashing. I never once crashed mid-game. I don't know about you.
I think
every time
once.
It happened, it's when we were loading into a match, when I was going through my menu, something else. So it actually wasn't as rage inducing because I wasn't like about to get a kill streak and then my game freezes. So I was actually like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm crashing, but I never got that mad about it. I didn't care, and it was to be expected. I've crashed countless times in every Call of Duty beta in the last 3 years, constantly. So that'll be fixed by launch, most of it.
Yeah, agreed. Next, a lot more substantive. The UI. So when I say UI, I do not mean the heads-up display. Maybe we'll talk about the heads-up display, but not now. When I say UI, I mean everything else. When you pause your game, when you're going through your graphics settings, your keybind settings, your audio settings, when you're going through the playlists, when you're going through friends list, when you're going through your progression system, when you're going through the gunsmith, when you're going through operators. I'm not exaggerating when I say each and every single element of the UI, the user interface, besides the HUD, is complete and utter dog shit. 1 out of 10. I find it hard to believe it is this bad and lacking in efficiency and so unstreamlined. It blows my mind. To edit your gun, let's say you're in a match and you want to change out your attachments. You press pause, then you go to you press edit loadout or whatever the fuck. Then you select the loadout and press edit loadout. Then you go to the gun, then you select edit attachments, then you edit the attachments, and then you're out. Maybe that probably is actually the same as MW 2019. So maybe that's not the best example. But every part of the UI, especially outside of game, takes far more clicking and navigation than it should. And there was one particular time, Tanner was like, oh, just go to the progression and you can see what you'll unlock at each character level. And I was like, dude, I literally can't find it. How did you get to this menu? Okay. In 2022, the year of our Lord Jesus Christ, Activision, a AAA development studio, should not have a menu that I need to at all think about how to get there. Like it's one of those fucking choose your own adventure novels that you would read in elementary school, where you go to this page, you make this decision, you flip to that page, and it's like, dude, don't make me do this. Everything should be easy to get to, way easier than it is now. Change all of it. It's dog shit. The worst example of this is the friends list. So there's a button to go to your social menu. Okay. When you click this button, it should show your friends and maybe recent players. Even that feature, I don't think anyone gives a shit about, but you need to block people or whatever, so fine, have that in there. And your friends list. That button should not be called the social menu, in fact. It should be called the friends list button, because that's all anyone gives a fuck about, right? But wrong, though. You click on the social menu button, and it takes you to something called the hub. Now, listen, I'm a big fan of the hub, but I don't need it in Call of Duty. Delete the hub. Delete the Call of Duty hub. Every time I press the button, I'm confused. I don't know what the hub is. It shows random people on my friends list who happen to be in a party with each other. Why the fuck do I care about this? Why do I need to know it? And it shows that they're in a party for 80% of the real estate on my screen when I click this. Cool. So what do? I press social menu and I immediately snap to the next sub menu called friends list, because of course that's where I want to go. Why is there a hub? I don't understand it. And then in the hub, under the 80% of your screen that shows that there's one singular party between your friends, there are a bunch of like random people that are grouped just randomly. They're randomly grouped. I don't know why they're there. It's like friends that might have been online in the last 43 minutes. Like that's one category. And then under that, it's like friends who don't have MW2 installed yet. Why are these things here? Why is there a hub at all? Doesn't make any sense. But this is just the worst example of a dog shit UI. Because even the editing your loadouts is way too many buttons. It's way too hard. It takes way too much time. I hate it. And someone on Twitter said something like, this is literally a mobile game UI that they just ported to PC. Because maybe on mobile, you need to have to be able to like, you have to like do it this way or something. I don't know. I'm not a mobile gamer because I'm an adult in a first world country. But that is what it seems like. Like it's not even designed for a console or a computer. I can't stress this enough. It's so bad. And it doesn't deserve this much time, but it'll also, but here's why it kind of does though. They'll never change the UI. This is the UI we're stuck with for 2 years, first of all. So let's be super clear on that. This dog shit convoluted UI, Smile, we're stuck with it for 2 years. Minimum, yeah. Number one. And number two, why is it this complicated? I hate it. What are your thoughts?
They'll change some little things. Like I can see like the hub portion changing and like the friends being in a better order or something different with that. But it is literally, this is one of the biggest complaints that I've seen everyone saying. I think this is like literally 100% of the player base agrees. This is one of the worst menu UIs we've had in Call of Duty ever. Like it really is that bad. I was watching this video. I think Charlie Intel retweeted it, and it was like, here's a perfectly summed up why the UI is terrible in this game. And it's the guy going through his gun tree. So there's one gun he had picked, then there's two guns below. One goes down to the right a little bit, the next one's down to the right a little bit because it's a tree. The guy's holding his controller, he presses down once, goes to the next gun that's below. Presses down another time, and instead of going down to the next gun, it doesn't do anything. Then he has to hit right on his analog stick, and then that takes him down to the one below. So little things like that will probably, that may be a bug, I don't know what's up with that, but things like that will be fixed. But overall, it just feels like it takes so many clicks to do everything. Yep. Like I swear, like sometimes I've gone and like edited my entire gun class, and then I'll realize like, oh, I edited the whole fucking thing, but I didn't hit the equip button, so none of it saved. And it's like, if I'm there editing it and then I hit back and it's all showing up there, why do I have to hit like another equip button on it? Mm-hmm. Same thing with the perk menu. You have to like click on one of the perks, and then it opens up this other menu that says, oh, do you want to rename this custom loadout? These custom loadout perks? Do you want to edit the perks? Do you want to delete this loadout? And it's like, what?
I want you to shut the fuck up.
I'm clicking on my perk. I want to be able to just change what perk I want instead of then having another menu that opens up where I then have to click edit perk. It's so insane. One of these things, again, that's like, the devs tested this and there were play testers and they never once thought, I mean, this UI has probably been in the game for a year.
Oh yeah.
Not it within the last time has anyone thought this isn't very user friendly, guys. This is going to be difficult for casual players to understand, especially when it comes to the gunsmith shit. It's very weird. Like sometimes you have to go to one gun and click on it, then to see the next gun that you unlock that way, which isn't showing up in like the submachine gun category. It's very weird. It's confusing. I hope they make some changes to it, but I think overall it's going to be very similar forever. And it has to be the worst UI I've ever seen in a first-person shooter video game.
Absolutely.
I can't think of a game that had a worse UI.
Dude, I literally So when I've talked about this, when I install a new game or get a new game, my first destination before anything else,
oh my god, yep,
is to fucking smash the settings button and meticulously go through every setting. This is always what I do, especially for an FPS game. So that's what I did, and I was done. I thought, and then I was like, dude, my game looks fucking terrible. What's going on? And then someone was like, oh, did you change like this setting or whatever? And I was like, no, I didn't even see that setting. Where is it? And then come to find, I go back into settings. There was an entire like 25% of all of the settings I just missed. I didn't find them. I didn't see them. And I'm someone who actively seeks particular settings, and I just missed the buttons.
Yeah.
How do you fuck up changing graphics settings? Like, how do you fuck that up? But of course Activision manages to, because they're really good at everything they should not be good at. You have to like press settings, then go to graphics, and then it pulls you to some settings, but not all of the graphic settings. You have to click a different button to get additional graphic settings. And then when you do that, you click like the quality tab, for example. Put it all in the same fucking thing. I can scroll. That's way better than me having to press 8 fucking billion buttons, but fine. I click quality. Then there are things that are submenus within that menu. So now it's settings, interface, keyboard and mouse, movement, and then on that screen, there will be a couple buttons that are, for example, advanced movement settings. That is 5 fucking clicks for me to tell the game how my mantle behavior should work. This is absurd. It's absurd. And you can easily lose these things. I was literally looking for graphic settings, and my render resolution was like 23% because I just didn't find that button until I was like explicitly told, nope, go back, look harder. Where's Waldo? Oh, there's the button. Insanity. Yeah. Activision devs don't play their own game. It's that simple.
That was me when I first loaded up, and I said that to you. I'm like, there's not very many graphic settings, I guess, because it's the beta. And then I'm like, okay, exactly. Whatever. And then finally someone from chat told you like, oh, there's another menu at the top. So it's like, oh, I literally didn't see that, because it's like everything else is down in the middle part of my monitor, and then the other menus are as high up in the middle of my monitor as you can go. Whereas I think the system works fine. Like MDub has that too. It's all split up into categories, but in MDub 19, you see all of the graphic settings, and one line above that is the tabs to go over, so you easily see it. So it's like, I'm not even looking at the very top of my screen, because it's like, that's where like the friends list button is. Why should I be looking up there when I'm in my graphic settings? So that confused me at first too. So yeah, I think more than anything, it's going to really confuse newer players, and they're going to miss so many settings, graphic settings, gunsmith issues. I think that's the biggest problem with it, is you're gonna fuck over the newer players that don't understand what they're doing, and they're just entirely gonna miss big parts of the game.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have people, I swear to God this is gonna happen. There are gonna be 1-star Steam reviews in the thousands. I'm not kidding. There will be thousands of 1-star Steam reviews for MW 2 because players will say, holy shit, this game looks terrible, because they don't even know that something called render resolution exists as a setting, and they'll never find it because they don't know to go look for it. And it's too hard to find.
Yeah.
So they're Activision's like kind of fucking themselves. What? And also, by the way, as an aside, why is the render resolution not 100% by default? Why the fuck would I buy a 1080p or 1440p monitor ever and then play on 27% of that resolution?
I think it just gets bugged. Mine was 100% to start, but then at one point after I crashed it, took it down. It was like 23 or some weird number. Yeah, I don't know.
When I first loaded, mine was
that
not
still
100%.
happens in Warzone from time to time.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So, oh, and yeah, and on that topic, by the way, kill cams are still broken. So, all this talk about new engine, Well, some things carried over, didn't they? There's no chance they have a new bug on a new engine that results in the exact same bug, which is the kill cams being broken in exactly the same way they're broken in MW 2019. Engine's not that new, is it? Engine's not that different, is it?
Yeah, it's still like
still
it'll
a
just
bunch of
end.
legacy code, absolutely.
It'll just like end right before your like kill. Like as you're shooting at the guy, it'll just end out of nowhere, and that was how it was in MW 19 too, and it was never fixed.
Since closed beta. Closed beta.
And that goes, that's like
so that's a bug we've had for more than 3 years now. Smile.
Yeah. Wait, are you talking about kill cams or like the play of the game thing?
Oh, that's what. I'm sorry. You're right. Yes, I meant play of the game. Final
like
kill.
play of the game. Final kill cam.
That's what I
Okay,
mean.
yeah.
That's what I
play
mean.
of the game is still busted, which is always unfortunate because it's like you'll get some cool plays. And it's like, oh, watch this, and then it cuts off the last 3 kills, and it's like, are you serious, man?
I know. Happened to me. Happened to both of us, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking dog shit. Yeah. So sick game. So yeah, it's like the engines. I mean, it's new enough, and there
Update
are
still requires restart, by the way.
Update still requires restart, which it's 2022. No video game I've ever played does that, but cool.
Yeah, and we're still getting it.
And we will for the next fucking 2 years minimum. I will say, however, one thing that didn't carry over is that when I join a party, I instantly join it. So that's very nice to see. Because in
that
MW
was very quick,
2019,
you're right.
it takes 20 minutes. But in this game, I press join, boom, I'm in. So that's good. So some of the dog shit didn't carry over, but much of it did. And I'm sure we will see more bugs as this game goes on that are carryovers from MW 2019. So moving on, the perk system. So now I think I understand how the perk system works. You pick 4 perks out of game. You start with 2. As you earn score, you accelerate your progression towards your perk 3 and 4. Whether or not you're dying, it doesn't matter. And no matter what, you will unlock perks 3 and 4 before the game ends. So you will get, for example, 5% progress toward perk 3 and 4 per minute. But if you get 10 kills on top of that, it would be like 5% plus 10% progress. So no matter what, you'll unlock all your perks, but you'll unlock them faster if you're doing really well. I'm almost certain that's how it works.
Correct. Yeah, you do get them faster.
And this is exactly like Black Ops 4 ultimate abilities. If you play as Reaper, you press Q and you get your scythe after an amount of time has passed, and every single player, no matter how bad they are, will get at least one ultimate ability per game because it will progress no matter how well you're doing. But if you're doing really well, it progresses a lot faster. So a good player will be able to use that ultimate ability more often than a bad player. This is like the same system except for perks. Here are my thoughts on it. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me that much. But one thing, and also having this is still like 3 categories of perks, but instead of red, blue, yellow, it's like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And that could arguably be easier to balance. I think, in fact, it kind of is easier to balance from a dev perspective. That is an upside to this system. However, downside is, despite that, it's not that hard to balance perks using the classic system, and this system seems kind of silly and pointless. It's kind of like Rage Serum, in my opinion. Not exactly, but it's similar in this way. Adding Rage Serum to Rebirth Island isn't going to negatively impact my gameplay, but it's not going to positively impact it either. It's just kind of pointless that you added it. That's kind of how I feel about this perk overhaul. I don't see the real benefit to it, to be honest, but I also don't see a huge downside either. Now, I should have said this at the outset. These are first impressions. All of this is subject to change as we play more. So I could be totally off base on this and anything else I've said. But as it stands now, I just didn't care about my perk progression. Didn't bother me, and it just seemed like they're doing a lot of shit for like no real benefit. Not a detriment, but not a benefit either. It just seems silly and pointless. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the perk system. Yeah, I agree. It just seems weird to start, but I think once we understand it more and play the game a lot more, when the game is fully released, that maybe there will be benefits of it. But as of now, I can't really think of a benefit to it. I don't know. Yeah, it's just weird because like at times, like I was running as my ultimate was Ghost. So like I remember one game I was doing like what I thought was average. I was doing fine, and I got Ghost when their team had 120 points already in Dom. So it's like the game is more than halfway over, and I'm just now getting my last perk. I don't know. It does just seem weird. Maybe it is better for balancing issues. I'm not sure, but I think the biggest thing is it kind of shows you why, certainly on launch, why we're not getting any perks in Warzone, because they can't just port that straight over. That would make no sense in Warzone at all to just randomly get your perk at some point in the game. So, I mean, they've already said there's not going to be perks in Warzone at launch, so maybe there'll be ground loot at some point instead, but that's definitely a big reason why right there, because of the way they designed it in this game. So, I don't know. I think it may end up being okay, but it's just a little odd for now.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately we just need more time with
I think it made it easier to set up the perks, though. I hardly had to think at all. That is one thing. I'm like, I think I used EOD, Battle Harden, and then the only one that I kind of had to think about was the middle one. You can run Fast Hands, which was pretty good.
Yep.
And I was running Quick Fix, which I thought, even because you think like the game has such a fast time to kill, why'd you run Quick Fix? So many times I would get hurt by someone, get the kill on them. It's 6v6. There's people, on these small maps all around you. And I think literally probably 15-20 times yesterday, I only survive and win the next gunfight because I had Quick Fix. So I was actually feeling really good because I think the health gen in general is pretty slow. Yeah. I don't know if it's actually slower, but it certainly, just based on the screen effect that you get when you're injured, it makes it seem like it's longer than the average Call of Duty game. So Quick Fix felt really good. So there is less thought involved, I guess, which again, maybe that caters to casual players too. They don't have 8 perks from each category to look through and pick from. I don't know.
That's another thing is I don't know if this represents all the perks we're going to ultimately have. Because remember,
I doubt it.
At patreon.com/thedropshot, we did an episode where we went through Ralph's Valve Telegram of data mined leaks and shit. And there was a big list of perks. And many of them, I think, we did not see in the beta, but they were in the files and they even had icons. So this might not represent the whole suite of perks, and adding more perks might make this system make more sense, and it also might make it make less sense. I don't know yet. I can't, my brain isn't big enough to theory craft that hard. But as of now, I'm just kind of indifferent on it. I don't know. But it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, as of now, it's fine.
Yeah. What do we got next, bud?
Next thing, little note here. It's very easy to switch between score streaks and kill streaks, and I like that a lot. If you want to play the objective more, maybe, and you're not good at getting kills, though, you can switch to score streaks. If you do a lot more killing and don't play the objective, you can play kill streaks, and they seem to be balanced pretty well. The only thing I was wondering is, I noticed capping a neutral flag in Dom was plus 500 score. So that immediately capping your first flag would give you a UAV with score streaks, I think. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure UAV is 500.
I'm positive it is, yeah. Yeah, that is pretty big. But also,
I'd never saw, well, I guess I wouldn't know if anyone was running score streaks, actually. I don't know. But I feel like most people would just stick with kill streaks.
Does that count for A and C or just B?
Yeah, maybe it's just
only B. In which
I think
case,
when I did it, it was
fair.
B.
Yeah.
So then what is capping your flag you spawn at? Probably like 200 or 300 points or something?
I would think like 100.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know.
I'll have to experiment with that some more.
It's a good question. But yeah, I totally agree. I really like the option of score streak versus kill streak, and I think the way the numerical values make sense. So UAV is an example. If you get 3 kills in a row, which is the equivalent of 300 score, you get a UAV. But if you're using score streaks, you need to earn 500 score, which is the equivalent of 5 kills, to get a UAV. The upside of using the score streaks is obviously you don't have to get kills to get 500 points. You can just cap B, and if you're running score streaks, you get a UAV, whereas if you're running kill streaks, you would not get a UAV. You wouldn't be any closer to getting UAV. So score streaks should definitely cost more points or more score to earn a streak than if you were using kill streaks and only got kills. Duh. And I think that 300 versus 500 is about right. I think that's pretty good. That would be like, what, 180%? Something like that. Which I think is fair. 175% maybe. I think that's a good way to do it. And yeah, if you're like someone who just wants to get a bunch of kills, use kill streaks. If you're like an objective player, maybe if you're playing search and destroy, score streaks makes a lot more sense too. That's cool because kill streaks, from what I understand, watching search and destroy, are just like very unreliable, and you're really not going to get them too often. And if you're getting like a precision airstrike in search and destroy, your team probably is fucking their ass anyway, and you don't really need it. Whereas if you have score streaks, because you get like 5 billion points for planting a bomb, that makes a lot of sense. So I like it for like search players too, and for game modes where you're not like one life game modes. I think having score streaks as an option is very cool. And that's something I'll never do, because one life multiplayer is cringe. But for those players, score streaks is cool too. So I think they handled that perfectly. I think it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. My next thing here was that not sure how I feel about all the attachments yet. Obviously, we haven't seen most of them, but like so many attachments that are unlocked right now have massive downsides, especially when it comes to the barrels for certain guns. And the barrels are entirely different for like every single gun. But I think it's for the M4. I swear it's like every single barrel decreases your velocity, damage, or damage range. Like every single one has that downside on it. And a lot of them have two downsides. It's like worse velocity and worse damage. Like I could never find a barrel for most guns that I'm like, oh, this sounds good for 6 as multiplayer. When it comes to ground war, and I don't care about like ADS speed, then there are still barrels that like increase your velocity or maybe just increase your velocity, but then it's going to decrease like your damage or damage range and shit. So like there was never anything that I could find like, oh, this barrel is definitely the best, which maybe is better for balancing purposes, but just felt odd compared to most Call of Duty games we've had recently that you know use this gunsmith system. I'm like, well, I don't even think I want a barrel on most of these guns, and maybe that won't be the meta this year. Who knows? But I thought that was a little odd that everything just had massive downsides. It seemed even like foregrips and shit, all of them have really big downsides to them. Yeah,
the barrel thing was very weird with the M16. So one thing to keep in mind is that none of these guns in beta had all of their attachments. Like the max level you could get an M4 was like level 20. So like, well, with the weapon vault, you still couldn't use every attachment that would be in at launch, right?
I don't think so, because I know for like muzzle devices, I swear to God, I think the M4 had like 20 muzzle devices. There were so many.
Yeah. So this is kind of a problem I have, actually. I've never talked about this, which is surprising. It's a problem I have with MW 2019's actually all the gunsmiths since Gunsmith came out, is that a lot of the attachments, usually the early unlock attachments, are just dog shit and no one would ever use them. I don't think, well, I mean, on the one hand, I want to say there shouldn't be an attachment that you would never use if the gun was max level. So it seems like there are attachments that like increase your sprint to fire speed, and then by the time you get at max level, there's another one that just increases your sprint to fire speed by more. And it's like, okay, well then why'd you even add in the first one? Because like no one's ever going to use that once they max level the gun, which is going to happen fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And that's like when a gun has 70 attachments, it's like, you know, that there are underbarrels literally no one's ever going to use. So why even like waste your time and waste my time adding them into the game so that you have a decent attachment to use for the next hour while you continue to unlock better ones? It's kind of weird. But at the same time, if you only wanted to have useful attachments, you would only have like 30 attachments per gun, which I would be fine with, but people who like the grind and shit wouldn't probably. But on the topic of too big of downsides, I don't know. It seemed to me like if you were going to level an MW 2019 gun, but it was level capped at 20, all of those attachments would look like dog shit too. I think the attachments are going to behave very similarly in terms of how good they are to MW 2019, where all the best attachments are unlocked 90% through the gun's progression. Like there's probably a very good plus bullet velocity, plus damage range, plus recoil control, minus ADS time, sprint to fire speed barrel for an M4, but you don't unlock it till level 48, so we don't know that it exists, or we didn't see it in the beta, you know? I think that's going to be the case, which is, I guess, fine, but again, I just don't like that there exist attachments no one will use, because they're just not as good as other attachments you can use.
Yeah. It's also true what Ox is saying. You do have to then unlock more attachments, though, through the next variant, the next receiver, which will then unlock more attachments that then you can use on that M4. The whole system is just weird because it's new, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking into it because, frankly, I want to. Yes, because frankly, I want to play the game during the beta, not spend all of my time going through the gunsmith, but it is something like that. Like, I think you have to then go do another receiver and then say you'll unlock things like different optics for that receiver that then you can use on the M4 once you unlock it on the next receiver. That's how that whole tree things work. Again, this is going to be so confusing for casual players. It's crazy they design all this game with certain aspects to cater to casuals, and then they make by far the most confusing gunsmith we've ever seen that new players are going to be just utterly confused by and have no fucking idea how they unlock the next gun. It's going to be very weird.
I'm not sure about this, but I think if you use only an M4 until it is max level and you don't use any other receiver, I think you will have all possible attachments you can use on an M4. I think if you went to a different receiver and were unlocking new shit, that new shit would be specific to that receiver, and it wouldn't carry over to an M4.
I still think it includes other things, though, like, say, optics and shit. I think you unlock that way.
Maybe. Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. I get the impression that's not how it's going to work, or that's not how it does work. But that would be really dumb if it did work that way. Yeah. Like... Yeah, if you get a gun max level, see if I can figure it out. You should be able to use every attachment it can use.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I guess we'll see. But overall, I am very happy with the gunsmith. Well, I'm happy with the gunsmith, but not because it's innovative or different at all. I'm happy we are back to being forced to pick only 5 attachments, even though there are 7, 8, 9 attachment slots, because then I have to pick and choose, do I want an optic or do I want a stock attachment? I think this is a great way to balance guns. I've beaten this point to death, so I'm not going to go into it any more than that, but I'm very glad you are not just guaranteed an attachment in every possible attachment slot, a la Vanguard. I thought that was a dumb fucking idea, and I'm glad we are done with it, at least for now. However, with that said, this gunsmith is just exactly the same as the MW 2019 gunsmith, and the only difference is that the way you unlock attachments is cool, unique, and different. And I will say this, the receiver system and how optics you unlock on an M4 will carry over to the 9mm M4 variant, the Hurricane or whatever, I think that's great, and I think that's cool. But that's the only innovation with the gunsmith. And the problem with that is, number one, the gunsmith has problems, which we're going to get into. Because I've said before, I don't care about innovation. I don't want you to innovate if you're doing something correctly. But the gunsmith hasn't been done completely correctly, right? So I'm going to get into that in a second. But I'm fine with the innovation they've made on the gunsmith, which is the way it's different from MW 2019 is that you unlock receivers and there are common attachments, blah, blah, blah. However, no matter how cool that is, in 2 weeks' time, that won't matter anymore. And once I've unlocked all the guns and all the attachments, which will not take long, especially if you're a listener of a Call of Duty podcast, you're a fucking nerd, you're going to have all the attachments inside of a month for all the guns. And now what do we have with the gunsmith? The exact same gunsmith as MW 2019.
Just a worse UI, just a more difficult to navigate UI.
But a worse UI, exactly.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't even thought about that. Once everything's unlocked, it's just, there's nothing left that's positive with the gunsmith. It's actually just worse from there.
Exactly, yeah. All we're left with after that point, which is going to come very quickly, is the MW 2019 gunsmith. Now, was the MW 2019 gunsmith the worst thing in the world? No, but it definitely needed improvements, which we did not see. For example, we're back on our plus minus bullshit for pros and cons. And that's all it tells you. Now, there could have been a button that said expand details, extra details. Again, the UI's entirely dog shit and too complicated.
So, there is not, and Infinity Ward has said they're not putting that in the game. There will be no stats.
Man, I love Infinity Ward. I love giving them feedback because they ask for it and don't implement any of it. Awesome, man. Yeah. So anyway, we are back on so confirm now. We are back on our plus minus bullshit that tells us almost nothing. Here's a great example of the problem with this. I unlocked a stock for an M4. It gave me faster ADS and sprint to fire and worse recoil control. There was another stock that also gave me faster ADS and sprint to fire and worse recoil control, but it also gave me more or less flinch resistance. So based on just looking at the game, one stock has 2 positives and 1 negative, and then another stock has the same 2 positives, the same 1 negative, and then an additional negative, worse flinch resistance. Well, why the fuck on God's green earth, if this was all the information, would I ever use stock number 2? Because it has worse flinch resistance, but everything else is exactly the same as stock number 1. If I'm a casual player, I'm going to look at this fucking caveman UI with the pluses and minuses like a kindergartner would make, right? And I'll say, oh, well, these stocks are the same, except this one's worse because it has an extra downside. So I'm going to use the first one. What the casual player doesn't realize is that actually the stock that has 2 downsides instead of just 1 is probably better because it probably increases your ADS speed and sprint to fire more than the first stock does that has fewer downsides. But how the fuck would a casual player know that just from looking at the game and the information the devs who created the game and could tell you? You wouldn't know. So you're just like fucked. And why are we doing this? Why can we not have percentages, even made up numbers? Make up numbers and say it gives me plus 10 sprint to fire so that you can go to a different stock and it gives plus 15 sprint to fire. Plus 15 what? I made it up number. That's fine if you made it up as long as it is consistent relative to your other made up numbers for your other attachments. But we don't even get that. We literally just get pluses and minuses.
And there was no like plus. It was just plus or minus, correct?
Exactly. Yes, correct.
Yeah, so that was the other confusing thing with the barrels, because I'm like, okay, 3 of these barrels have a negative bullet velocity. How much bullet velocity am I losing, man? Tell me literally anything.
Exactly.
So that's what I was kind of saying is like, so this was a big discussion on Twitter with JGod and True Game Data that I was reading through. It was pretty interesting. JGod said, quote, they said having the data is overwhelming for players.
Soaring.
is not always perfectly. No, TGD does the same thing now. He's been doing that for a while. He gets it straight from the files.
Oh, good for him.
They said that having the data is overwhelming for players and is not always perfectly tied to the stats. The UI people have to constantly update them to reflect changes. So it's like, okay, but that screen was hidden away with all those stats. Most players didn't have to look at it. I didn't look at it most of the time, but a lot of times I did click on it because I wanted to know actual specifics.
It was super useful.
And then, like True Game Data said, he's like, they literally don't have to update anything. The numbers are in the files. What is there that have to be updated? It should be like automated in there.
If you're updating the file, it should automatically carry over. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So I get the point is that, like JGod said, it is not perfectly tied to the stats. Like you just said, I don't fucking care. Having a +5 that may actually be a +4.1 is way better than having just a plus next to it and me knowing nothing. So these 4 stocks all have a plus vertical recoil control. How much? How do I know what to take?
Exactly.
That's a terrible system. Don't give me all these attachments and then leave it at that. Again, another thing, Classic Infinity War complained about day one from Modern Warfare 2019. Give us percentages or something else in plus and minus system. Fucking 3 years later, the most advanced Call of Duty of all time, plus and minus system again. Yeah. They don't ever listen to the things people actually want.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, it'll be a really fun year again, having to watch YouTube videos to see what the attachments actually do. I thought we were done with that. We're obviously not.
I wish to God I would be done with it, but we're absolutely not. And some of you might be like, well, this is kind of nitpicky. As long as it increases ADS speed, isn't that fine? No, you fucking idiot. Because if the difference between bullet velocity barrel 1 and 2 was a 5% difference, maybe. But there are, and you can see this in Cold War, especially, that has the fucking newtons and the joules and the kelvins on it. That it gave you way more information than you needed, but it also gave you the information you did need, like bullet velocity in meters per second. There would be barrel 1 for Cooper that would increase, that would say plus bullet velocity. And you'd say, cool. You'd expand the little menu. It would give you plus 50 meters per second of bullet velocity. And then there'd be another barrel that was also plus bullet velocity. And you'd expand it, and it gave you plus 600 meters per second of bullet velocity. Okay. Plus bullet velocity is just not enough information when one gives me 5 extra and one gives me 500 extra. And these discrepancies, that's exaggerated a little bit, but not much. These discrepancies between attachments absolutely exist for every single gun, for almost every single attachment category. Vertical recoil control is another one. There are some underbarrels that give you plus 2%, some that give you plus like 10. But if all I get is plus vertical recoil control, I don't know which one of those does which. And if the discrepancy is going to be that wide, which it absolutely will be, you need to be able to represent that somehow. I don't need fucking how many newtons of force a gun does, like Cold War gave me. I'm not asking for that. And I don't even need meters per second. That would be great, but I don't need it. But you need to give a percentage or just a fake unit that relative to all other attachments is consistent, so that I can see, okay, this barrel gives me plus 2 bullet velocity. This one gives me plus 10. I really want bullet velocity, so I'm going for the plus 10. I'll take the extra downsides. And we don't have that. So what are we left with after we unlock all attachments? Exactly the same gunsmith as MW 2019, which was great at the time, but it's been 3 years. They've gotten all of this feedback. It's not like they don't know that we wanted this. They did, and they don't care, and they haven't changed anything. So we're going to have the exact same gunsmith we had in 2019, which was good, but it had glaring flaws, and you are just actually paying the bills of sim.gg and True Game Data, because these are going to be required websites to use if you want to take this game at all seriously, because the in-game menu does not tell you nearly enough. Which is insane. Yeah. It's insane that it doesn't. Escape from Tarkov tells me enough. which is a game that's actually in beta. Like I don't know. It's just insane. And they've done it before with Cold War. So how can they not, and Vanguard? Both. Yes. So how can they not do it? How can the biggest studio be incapable of doing this?
They have some dumb reasoning for everything, right?
Yep.
Confuses new players. How is having numbers more confusing than just a basic plus or minus system?
And they want to be so casual friendly, and they're removing a classic mini map to cater to casuals. Okay, if you want to cater to casuals, guess what you shouldn't do? Force players who want to optimize their gun setups to go off of your website to find literal data and percentiles and shit to make a good loadout.
Yeah.
That is the least casual friendly thing you can do, is your gunsmith, yet you do it and pretend to cater to casuals. Cool.
Just go to show you they don't actually mean what they say half the time. They just say things because they're way too stubborn to ever change the things that people really want change in the game, and then they make excuses. Because this is the whole game's UI is the opposite of catering to casuals. No one's going to understand how this works. I wonder if Ben was playing the beta this weekend. I should ask him on Monday if he figured out how to use the gunsmith and what guns he could even possibly unlock. It's like that's someone that doesn't usually play COD, you know? It's like,
Yep. Exactly. So, cool. Welcome to Fresh Ball Fall. It's the season of pumpkin spice and making sure your crotch looks nice. That means sipping cider in a fall breeze and using Manscaped products to trim your balls with ease. That is right. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, a company here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding. It's excess leaves. It's time to lose the excess clutter for fall. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code DROPSHOT. Whether you're brand new or already with us at Manscaped, you could use the crown jewel of care for your family jewels, the Platinum Package 4.0. With this glorious package, you can align your entire hygiene routine all in one swoop. Inside the 10-part Platinum Package is everything you know and love about the Performance Package, plus some shower goodies included to elevate your grooming game to platinum. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate parts and holes. Both are waterproof, so you can keep scaping even as the weather's changing. In addition to shaving, you can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and the Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner. Don't forget to apply their aluminum-free Ultra Premium Deodorant, and don't worry, it is not pumpkin spice. It is a cologne quality fragrance. And we've also got the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner to make sure your go-to smell is top shelf and not sweaty balls. They also throw in 2 free gifts with the Platinum Package 4.0, Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code DROPSHOT. Once again, 20% off and free shipping with code DROPSHOT at manscaped.com. Manscaped, clear out the leaves. It's your tree trunk's time to shine. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Coliseum. What is that, you might ask? Coliseum is basically the fantasy football of Warzone. Fantasy Warzone. Users can enter the Friday freebie contest every week for free. You pick 6 streamers while remaining under a salary cap. And each streamer, their salary is adjusted very often to reflect their current performance. And they earn you fantasy points based on all their kills and victories for that weekend. The top 5 dream squads with the most fantasy points win a percentage of the pot. And new signups increase the free $75 prize pool by $5, up to $150 every week. It's free to make an account. It's free to sign up for the Friday freebie, obviously. And people in this community, Tanner has entered and won money. And you don't have to pay anything to play. So it's really fantastic. Love the website. Go to Coliseum, that is KOLOSSEUM.co. Make an account. Use creator code Dropshot to let them know we sent you. And then enter the Friday freebie. And our very own McBango is one of the streamers you can pick for your Dream Squad. I just made another Dream Squad today. I didn't get 86th place last week. That didn't happen. And you don't need to go check because it didn't happen. But this week I'm going to do better. I got Bango on my side again and others. And I'm going to win money. Once again, KOLOSSEUM.co. Make an account. Sign up for the Friday freebie. You pay nothing. And you can win real cash. All right. Now, on to the larger and perhaps more important section, in-game. So now these are our first impressions of actually being in a match in the video game, which is probably, again, the more important section of this program. And of our impressions. So again, these are in no particular order. We will start with the third person mode. I knew third person was going to be dog shit and unfun. I didn't want to play it. Tanner made me play it, and it was dog shit and unfun. No surprises there. It was like kind of neat and novel. And I can give you guys the strategy for third person mode. Use a shotgun. Because the thing about third person mode in this game, for no discernible reason, of course, is that when you aim down sights, you go into first person mode. In every single third person shooter I've ever played or seen in my life, when you ADS, you're still in third person and it just shrinks your reticle. Just how, except if you're sniping.
Or there's an option to do it either way.
Oh, maybe. Okay, yeah.
Like there's a keybind.
But of course, Activision, not in this game. So when you ADS, you just go into first person. Third person is way more competitively advantageous. Obviously, you can see more of the play space. So the meta is to never ADS. And what's the best way to never ADS, of course? Use a shotgun and just hit fire everything. And then you can just constantly camera people. So you like sit like right to the left of a doorway, and then you just fucking rotate your camera so that you're seeing entirely into the other room. And then you know when people are coming or going, whatever. And then fuck their ass. Another pro tip, by the way, there is a keybind to switch whether your camera is looking over your right shoulder or your left shoulder. So if you're left side peeking a room, you can switch your camera to get maximum vision that way. And then if you're right side peeking, you can switch it back. I didn't know
It doesn't
this.
switch your gun though, right?
No, I don't believe it does.
Okay. That's what Division does. It'll put the gun on the other arm.
You know, apparently special forces, they like train shooting with their off arm.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
It's crazy.
In case their primary gets blown off or something.
Or if they just need to do like a left-hand peek, they need to be able to. Which is
the right-hand peek's meta. They should be doing that. They should just get in a better positioning where they can right-hand peek.
Sprint, shoulder peek, and then Yeah,
they need to jump past the doorway. Yeah, do the shoulder peek.
Which seems insane to me. Like that feels so awkward. But of course, they're special forces. Of course, they did that. I just hadn't thought about it. Anyways, so yeah, you can change how your camera works in third person mode. But the fact that you have to ADS completely ruins the mode. Or that you go into first person when you ADS completely ruins the mode. It completely defeats the purpose of the mode. If anyone's playing this seriously, then if you want to play this well, you should only be using shotguns or SMGs that are hipfire builds. Because otherwise you're going to get pissed, shitted, and farted on by people doing that. So it's like, if you like hip firing, maybe that mode will be fun for you. But I don't.
Or you have to build ARs with fast ADS. And then you're going to have shit damage range and other downsides to it.
Yeah, and you're still going to get pissed on by shotguns, I think. So but also I don't care at all. I was never going to play a third person mode. It doesn't matter how well Call of Duty could possibly do a third person mode, because here's the thing about me, right? If I wanted to play a third person shooter, I would install a third person shooter. I wouldn't play a first person shooter and then play the goofy little quirky third person mode in the first person shooter game. It's retarded. I don't even know why they added it. It's a waste of their time. But I don't give a fuck. I was never going to play it, no matter how good or bad it was. And it doesn't matter to me. But as it turns out, perhaps unsurprisingly, it's not good. So, what are your thoughts?
It's actually done pretty well. Literally, the only thing they need to change that would actually make it very, very fun is just the ADSing.
And throwing lethals and tacticals is very unintuitive also. That's another thing they would have to help.
There needs to be the trail of how you would throw it. What is that called?
That perk needs to be default.
And why is that? I can't believe that perk even exists, first of all. Holy shit.
Yeah, what a waste of a slot.
Jesus fuck. Talk about something they
That's
wanted to
a good
add
perk
into
in
the
third
game.
Person, though, actually, yeah.
That's probably why they added it in, actually. That'd be the only reason for it. But hey, do it by default and don't take up a perk slot with it, but sure. This mode would be so much better just if you ADS in a third person over your shoulder. You saw the gun third person. It's literally that simple to take this mode from like a 3 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 for me. I love third person shooters, so this would be a blast, I think. The most simple fix, they're not going to do it though. I haven't seen anyone say this ever. I guess because no one cares enough about the third person mode ever, but like all the people that went to COD Next that played the third person mode, I never saw a single one of them mention this, which is crazy that they didn't complain about that out of everything, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, just because people don't give a fuck and they wouldn't have played it regardless. Yeah,
it's not going to bring people to the game just because there's a third person mode.
Yeah, of course. But I don't care because, yeah, this didn't take many development resources to add, so it's... Third person mode is equivalent to Rage Serum to me. It's a dumb thing they wasted some time adding to the game that really doesn't add anything to the game from my perspective. But they didn't take probably too much time designing it, so I don't really care. And that's another point from Doorman in chat, the dropshot.com/live, is the transition from first person to third person view when you ADS is super clunky and awkward. Yeah. It feels like when you would ADS with a Cold War sniper rifle before they fixed it, where it would be like you're holding it here and then your guy like fucking does a big loop and then like jams it into his eye socket, and it's just the most jarring, awkward feeling transition ever. It feels like that. Yes. Yeah. The transition's also bad from third person view to first person view and vice versa, perhaps as well. But even if the transition was smooth, again, don't put me in first person when I ADS. It's just dumb. I don't know why they did that. Yeah, I don't know what that adds. Yeah, I don't get it, but whatever. I wonder, because people were talking about how MW 2, the original, also had a third person mode. I wonder how ADS behavior worked in that mode, in the original MW 2. I wonder if when you ADS'd, you would actually stay in third person or not. But either way, if it went into first person in the original MW 2, I would again ask, why? 10 years ago, I'd ask why. Because it still doesn't make sense, no matter what year it is, so whatever. Anyways... Moving on. My next point. If there was a working minimap, turns out the working minimap
it is third person in the original. I just pulled up a video. Yeah, why would they ruin it like this? Yeah, it was third person.
Yep.
Jesus, it looks so much better. It's further out, it's a wider field of view. Wow. It's literally better in that game than it is this one.
Yep.
Holy shit, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah. There are death comms in the beta, by the way. I heard them.
Really? Yeah, I don't think I ever got one.
You might have just muted all.
I did mute a few rounds because everyone was yelling. Yeah,
but the death comms were working. I definitely heard some very upset gamers. So my next point is we were making a big stink about the traditional minimap. I shouldn't have, because it doesn't matter, because the game is, I'm counter UAV'd 100% of the game anyway. So cool. This is a very minor point. The reason for that is that no one has anything else unlocked, so everyone's kind of running counter UAV, and therefore you're getting it a lot more than you will on release. It's kind of what always happens with Call of Duty betas, at least in the last 3 years, is that the prevalence of counter UAVs is just insane. I'm almost at the point where I think, hot take, remove counter UAV as a streak, because it's really good. It's arguably too good.
It's not.
It does something for you, and it completely counters another streak at the same time. So if I call in a counter UAV and the other team does not have a UAV up, it's good. If I call in a counter UAV and the other team has a UAV up, it's even better. What other streak that costs 4 kills does that? None. Why is it so good? Make it more expensive or remove it. I don't know.
Well, it's balanced perfectly because it takes 4 shots to kill it. Just no one ever looks up. And I shot like 5 of them down yesterday because no one else on my team would ever do it, including you.
Correct.
They're balanced perfectly that way because they're way easier to shoot down and take way less bullets than a UAV. So I think it's fine.
Interesting.
I mean, that's how it went in MDA 2019 too. Everyone at the start of the game was counter UAVing everyone. Then people realized, oh, it's fucking hovering 30 feet in the air going, bro, I could just shoot it with my pistol in 1 mag and it's down. So I think they're balanced perfectly. And yeah, once we have the full release with more perks, the amount of people using counter UAV will drop significantly.
That's true. Yeah, that's why I said it's kind of a minor point, but
yeah,
it's fucking annoying. Next is a more substantive point on the maps. Okay, so there were 4 Sixes maps, and supposedly there were 2 ground war maps. This is fake news. This is a psyop. There weren't 2 ground war maps. There was 1. But we'll get into that. We'll start with the Sixes maps. There was Mercado, Farm 18, Hotel Rwanda, and the Night at the Museum map. Those were the 4 maps. From worst to best, Museum map. Dog shit. Terrible
really
map.
Bad. 10's map. It needs to be 10v10.
People are saying it's too big. I don't think it's too big for Sixes. I think it's a bigger Sixes map, but I don't think the size is the problem. I think it's just the design of the map itself just sucks balls. It's really awkward, and the very large open space with just the stupid fucking statue with the like water fountain around it or whatever. It's just all trap.
Mid is terrible.
It's
you
ugly,
can't go mid.
And it's a waste of space. Yeah, and there's no reason to ever be there. So you're adding all of this extra space for me to have to run through if I'm forced to. But that doesn't serve any purpose at all. And it's just a shit map. And the whole map is ugly too. The museum map is fucking ugly. It's a gross looking map. It doesn't look good. I feel like I'm in like the poor area of Indio, California or something. I don't like it at all. It's a disgusting looking trash map aesthetically, but also the layout's terrible. It is on the bigger side. I would say it's not too big though. If a map that was that size was designed well, I think it could be fine for Sixes. But it's hard for me to say. Maybe it is too big. I don't know. But the layout of the map, fucking dog shit. Awful Sixes map. Easily the worst map in the beta. What are your thoughts on the museum?
I think it's because the side lanes, maybe instead of being open, the side lanes have like there's one lane. It's like you spawn way back there. You run to the left. You run up a hallway. You make another left. You go out the door to the right. There's shit in the middle, and there's another set of doors in front of it. And at that point, you're looking into the enemy's part of that like right lane. But you can't see because there's walls. Then you have to go through the double set of doors, and there's some other shit in the middle, like a fucking museum artifact that then you have to go around. There's another set of double doors, and then at that point you can see down the lane. So I think if the lanes were open, yeah, the size would feel okay. But then it's like on that same lane, it's got some verticality to it. You can get up in that upper area right above the B flag. It's just weird. People were describing it too as like it looked like a Roblox or Minecraft design map. It's like, oh shit, it does. I was like, oh, these people are just being dumb. But I'm like, oh wow, I get it now, because it's so like boring looking. It's like it's lacking something. I don't know. It just seems very dull. Counter-Strike map, yeah, it kind of does feel like a Counter-Strike design map, actually. It really does, when I think about it. But it's a boring map, for sure, worst layout. And it does play pretty slow, because at one point, I had just unlocked Chopper Gunner. I'm like, oh, I want to get a Chopper Gunner, so I want to play slow. I'm playing that lane that I'm talking about. I was there for 5 minutes, and I couldn't get my Chopper Gunner. No one ever went that lane, which does tell you it's too big, because you can't sit anywhere on any of the other maps for that long and not run into someone. I was like 1 or 2 kills off my streak, and then I'm like, okay, well, there's no one coming this way. I have to move, and then I died because I moved my character.
Yeah.
So yeah, the map is definitely too big. Piss poor layout. Dog shit map.
Yeah. I don't know.
Bad visibility too. Again, going from outside of the buildings to looking in, like how it is in Warzone right now. If you're inside looking out, it's bright and you can't see. If you're outside looking in, everything's really dark and it's hard to see until you get like right in the doorway. So that kind of makes for some trash gunfights if you can't see anything in there, and they can see you perfectly fine, but whatever.
Yeah. So, next map, Hotel Rwanda, Hotel California, whatever the fuck the hotel map is called. This map to me is fine. I don't hate it. I also certainly don't love it. The mid area. There are like 2 mid areas. One of the mid areas is B, and that kind of reminds me of one of those Vanguard maps where with the bar, it's like on a rooftop. It reminds me of the
Hotel Royale, which you hated that map.
Which I also hated. Yeah, there's like a lot going on at the B flag. There's like a lot of little desks and like cover and just visual pollution that is not enemy characters that I don't like, and it feels just kind of awkward and weird at B. And then the other mid area, it's not B, but it's like toward the middle. There's one side has 2 levels, the other side is just 1 level, and then you can like walk down the stairs to get to this middle area or whatever. This map, that part of the map that's a better mid section than B, but it's still not great, I don't think. And then the rest of the map is just not great. I just don't know. I can't really describe why I'm meh on this map, but I would say this is a decent map at best. Nothing about it was interesting or fun to me, and I didn't really enjoy playing it, but it isn't terrible. And at least it's not like entirely too big or something. What do you think?
I think you have them rated perfectly. I think it's better than just like an average map. I enjoyed it for the most part, but I still think the other maps we're going to talk about were more fun than this. But B is kind of in a weird spot though too. It's like, why is B all the way over on the furthest side of that lane, rather than there's a massive mid area? Why is it nowhere closer to mid or something?
Yeah.
It's very weird. Like, why? It's literally like the B flag is 10 feet from the wall of the map. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense at all, really. And then C is like in there. The whole layout's actually weird now that I think about it. I don't know. It is it's an odd layout, but I think it plays pretty well. There's some verticality to it, but it's nothing as like the verticality you can get to. Like there's this sky bridge type thing you can run and get to above. It's like I guess like the hotel rooms or something, and then you can run from there over to the bar area to be over this little sky bridge, and the sky bridge has 0 cover. It's just open. Like you can't head glitch on it, you can't get into cover, so it's like it gives you good mobility. You can move through quicker that way, but it's like very dangerous to cross up there. So I think they designed the verticality well in that way, that there's not really like any overpowered positions where you can just sit above everyone and just destroy them. So I had fun with it. That was one of the maps I actually probably did the best on. I like the layout of it. Yeah, I don't know. It was fun.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Visibility overall. Everything's the same lighting, pretty much.
Yeah, that's a good point about the verticality in general. I think this is kind of true for most of the maps, actually. There was no insane camp spot, at least that anyone discovered yet. So that's a really good sign. Because, yeah, like on the hotel, the verticality is there are 2 floors. That's it. Like, you could be outside of the building and you're lower than ground level. Yeah. But you're outside. So that doesn't really count. And then you run inside, you're on level 1, and then you can go up to the like Skybridge area, level 2. That's kind of it. Which is like fine. It's not like a fucking pick an MW 2019 map.
Well, I was going to say like Vanguard
in 6s
hotel map where you could be in those skylights above and just be directly above someone shooting above.
Yep.
Or shooting below you, and you can just shoot them in the top of their head as they're busy fighting other people down. There's nothing like that, at least. But
yes, exactly. Which I would do all the time. That's how you do well on Hotel Royale, is you don't go inside the hotel. You run back and forth, spawn raping kids, and then going from spawn A to B, you take a quick peek down the fucking sky ceiling, the skylight, whatever the fuck, and just rape some kids that are running, slide canceling for their lives down there, who have no chance ever of killing you, and then get to the next spawn, kill some more people, run back. Oh, let me shoot some more fish in a barrel. Go back to the other spawn. Sick design. Very cool game. That's very fun. How do you play around that? You just don't run there ever. Because you're not going to like look up and kill them. Because if you look up there, you're super dead. Because there's mid that has a perfect angle on you, and then also outside where there's an open door that also has a perfect angle on you. Terrible map. So at least there isn't that. Good point. My second favorite map in the beta, Mercado, gets my number 2 slot. This was a pretty good map. I was very worried about the visibility on this map from seeing the COD Next gameplay and the PlayStation Weekend beta gameplay. But they fixed a lot of that. I will say the only time I couldn't see someone because of smoke and debris and fire was on this map, and it happened fairly often. There is the most visual dog shit on this map than any other map. With that said, wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. And the layout of the map, irrespective of the particle effects, which isn't really the map's fault exactly, was good. I like Mercado. I think it's designed well. I think there are clear danger areas. There are clear safe areas. The side lanes make sense. Mid makes sense. I think the position of the B flag is actually pretty good. And I enjoyed playing Mercado, and it's an appropriate size for 6s as well. So I liked Mercado a lot. I think it was a good map.
Yeah, Mercado is actually my number 1. I liked it a lot too. I liked how like the side lanes are very narrow. It really does make it feel like a classic 3-lane map. You can kill a lot of people down mid if people are stupid enough to run down it, which they do all the time. You can just farm so many kills from people doing that. B flag is in a good spot, like you're saying. It's like underneath a little tunnel that like separates one tunnel. Lane to mid. Mm-hmm. And it's in a good spot because right at so one side of that tunnel is mid where it's like open. And the other side of that tunnel is a 2-story building, and you can get in one of the windows, but they actually thought and designed it really well that the window doesn't have total view and control of B. I've been in that window numerous times as the enemy's capping it. You can be just out of frame. Correct. And so they can be capping it safely and me not have just the easiest shot of my life mounted in the window killing them. So I think they designed that perfectly. Let's see what else is good with it. I don't know. I just like the layout of everything. It was the most fun map for me by far. Sense. It had really good flow to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You knew where people would be coming from, usually from their spawns. Exactly. Nothing weird. You weren't getting flanked and shot in the back because there's no flow to the map. So I liked it a ton. Really pleased with it. It didn't look that great last weekend in the beta, but that's because the visibility issues that they fixed a lot of for this weekend, smoke visibility and whatnot, because that made this map a lot better for me.
Yeah, for sure. And then my number one map is Farm 18. I loved this map. I thought it was really good. It was really fun. Again, it had excellent flow. It had very distinct areas. It had a rooftop that people really enjoyed playing on, but there were also like 80 ways to get onto that roof, and you could shoot people from underneath that roof if you went into the building. The spawns were very well protected. If you would spawn somewhere, you were like right behind cover. If you didn't spawn mid, which would happen sometimes. I will add, I didn't write this down, most of the spawns actually made sense, and the spawns seem to be way better than COD beta spawns usually are. There were no spawn issues even remotely as bad as Vanguard beta spawns were, where you would just watch
Agreed.
8 people spawn in front of you. So that's nice. I didn't even think to write it down. That's how decent the spawns were.
100% agree. Yeah.
But yeah, Farm 18, really good. It has a rooftop for players who want to do that. It has lanes with lots of, not too much cover, but a sufficient amount of cover, which is very good. No real insane head glitches except for the rooftops, which are not even that insane. It was pretty easy to see people. It was very easy to tell if someone's on the roof or not. There was no sun behind the roof, which was very nice. So if I looked on the roof and I was looking for someone, if they were there, I would instantly see them, which is really good. They didn't put the sun directly behind the rooftop, so that's great. And then I really like mid of Farm 18 too. And this is going to dovetail into a further point, but Farm 18 would just be the worst on a game that doesn't have footstep audio, because mid would be unplayable and you'd always die. But because you can hear footsteps, which we'll get more into, mid of Farm 18 is actually really fun. That's like the shooting range area, which we were kind of worried would just be like no one would ever go there. But people go there. There are reasons to. It's not super dangerous. It's not super safe either. And it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm leveling a shotgun or an SMG, I'm going mid. But if I'm leveling a DMR, I can just not go mid and then still have a really good time and plenty of targets outside of mid as well. So it had that variety without detracting from either playstyle in one map. I think the size was great. I loved Farm 18. I think it played super well. It was my favorite map for sure.
Yeah, Farm 18 also, again, I think they're doing a good job with this game overall from what I've seen, is balancing the verticality issues on the map. So they're adding in verticality, but it's not making the game experience worse. So on Farm, one of the lanes back by the broken apartments, that you can get on the second floor, you cannot shoot through, break, or see through 90% of the windows. There's like one window open so you can look one specific direction. But there are numerous windows that are boarded up. It's not like Vanguard, you can't break them. So you just can't get a visual on that side of the map. And I think that's really, really good for balance. So you can't just sit up there and keep going between the windows and get different angles as soon as people spawn in. They're designing it really well with this game so far. And, same thing with those apartment complexes that you can get up in. They have like broken out walls and stuff, so there's not too much cover for you to just stay up there forever and never die and keep farming people. So I think they're doing a good job with that. I didn't go mid at all. I never played mid on that map. I feel like that's a bait, all that close quarter combat in there in the little, it's like a little firing range or something, isn't it?
It's a little,
I think that's what it is.
Correct, yeah.
I just never went mid. I always played the outside lanes. The lane opposite of the lane with the metal roofs. Okay, so I play the opposite lane of that always, and I really like this map too. Good visibility, pretty good views down mid. You can snipe and do some shit there, but there's also still cover and kind of like a broken bus at one point, or something like a van or something that's angled, so you can't get a straight line all the way down to like the other spawn or anything. But overall, I think it's really well designed, and the verticality on that map is, I think, the best thing about it is that they didn't ruin it by it just being broken, busted, overpowered.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I think I'm glad you raised that point because I hadn't thought of it, but you're absolutely right. Unlike MW 2019, which handled verticality in the worst conceivable way, the verticality so far on these maps has been handled very well. Hotel Rwanda, very well. You could be in the sky bridge, which gives you height, which is a huge advantage, but there's no cover. It's literally just the walls are made of glass and there's nothing else there. There's the floor and glass. So you're just fucked if someone starts shooting at you first. And then there's another part of the hotel where it's like mid but not B, that area. There's a second floor area there, but again, it's walls that are literally just made of glass. So you can't like head glitch on something and wait for people there. You don't have cover. So you still have the verticality, which is a big advantage, but you can't just like camp there indefinitely and be super safe because you're on a tiny little head peak. And Farm 18 is the same shit. Yeah. There's no like insane head glitches on the vertical spaces that I've seen or found so far. So I think they have been in general handling verticality really well. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
and
even
again, this is massively unlike MW 2019.
Yeah, even when it comes to the ground war maps, a lot of the roofs you could get on are roofs that are like a foot tall, so there's no cover. You can lay prone and still almost get shot at. And so, you know, there's like AC units and other shit like that up there to get a little bit of cover, and then you can drop back down. But not every single roof is just a head glitch like in Modern Warfare, like in Verdansk downtown. Every single roof was a head glitch. This is not like that at all.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those were the maps for sixes, and now Ground War. Supposedly there were 2 Ground War maps. I played, I think 4 matches of Ground War. I always got the same map, and it's fucking terrible. It's a awful Ground War map. Awful Ground War map. It is the same shape as Promenade, the Ground War map, but longer. Meaning, it is a very, very thin rectangle. So you're
No, it's wide.
No, it's not. You're on one side, and
it's 5 times as wide as Promenade.
It's way
actually
wider than Promenade, yeah, but it's also longer than Promenade. So
yeah,
it's like just this big dog shit rectangle, and you just like walk forward, and you pick one of 3 lanes to do that through. And they're just like tall built, like everywhere there are tall buildings. And then you could go to the one side where there's like a carnival or something. There's like carnival tents or something. That's the most interesting, decent area of that map. And everywhere else is just all like 5-story buildings. Like that's it. It's awful, super unfun, super cringe. Hated it. No different play styles. I'd have to play it more or think about it more to describe why it's so bad, but it is super unfun. It's a super dogshit unfun map. Unlike something like Krovnik Farmland in MW 2019, that is a great fucking Ground War map. I really enjoy that. There are a lot of different types of there are a lot of different areas and play styles depending on where you go and what gun you want to use. And there are a lot of different avenues to get from, you know, one spawn to the other. In this, there isn't. You literally just like walk underneath all the buildings and that's it. Or you can go through again the carnival section, which is a good section of the Ground War map I played. That's
interesting. I thought that was the worst part.
That is interesting. You thought that. I enjoyed it quite a bit. You had to take cover from all the rooftops to your right or left, depending.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
and windows.
But you could also like, there's enough cover to where you can slice the pie, as they say, and like, you know, watch in front of you at the carnival. And if no one's there, you can start looking at each rooftop. That was the only area of the map that had any redeeming qualities in my view. Everything else is dog shit. Hated it. And supposedly there's another Ground War map, which I didn't play, but Tanner, I think you did, or you supposedly
I thought
did.
I played it. Maybe I didn't. I'm not really sure. I think we honestly just got a different spawn and thought it was a different map because we were playing in a different area for most of it. Maybe it was the new map. I literally couldn't tell you at this point. So I think overall this map is good. It's not as good as most of the ground war maps in Modern Warfare 2019, but I think the thing that's ruining it for you that you're kind of blaming on the map is because this is the AI mode. This is Invasion. That's what ruins this map for me, is there constantly being stupid AI dropping out of the sky, stupid AI coming down in a helicopter. It just ruins everything. And then also there were no vehicles in this mode, if I'm not mistaken. So you can't spawn in, grab an ATV and drive further up like you can in Ground War.
True.
So you're forced to spawn really back really far and then just run up. There's nothing to do in Invasion. It's like TDM, I think. There's no flags to cap. So the whole map just plays terrible because of that reason. I think if this was Ground War where you had vehicles to get up the map quicker, you had helicopters, you can fly and bail and jump on a roof. You didn't have AI. I think this would be so much better. Pretty sure the reason we think it's dog shit, or you do, is because of the game mode. So I think, again, when it comes to this map, all of those buildings, they've done a lot better job this year. So many of the windows in those buildings you cannot look out. The vast majority of the windows you cannot look out.
You have to be on the roofs, yeah.
It does get kind of annoying at times. Like, holy fuck, I wish I can get an angle on this. But hey, if I can get an angle where I want to get an angle, it'd be busted. And I'd be farming all these people coming up the lane below me with no cover. So I think they designed that really well. Again, with a bunch of the roofs, there's like no cover. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of roofs where you can essentially get head glitches. Bullets come out of your gun, by the way. Don't think that's true still. I tried to test it, couldn't fully figure it out. But I think that Ground War map would be a good place to test it. They don't come out of your gun. The Infinity Ward lead dev is wrong, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But some of the buildings you can get head glitches on, it seems, but a lot of them are lower roofs where you just can't sit up there and stay out of cover the whole time and just shit on people. So overall, it seems like a pretty well-balanced map. And on that Carnival side, like you're saying, a bunch of those windows too, there's a few where you can see out of, but a lot of the windows, they're just blocked off as well. So you have to be on the roof in less cover in order to shoot down on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I like the map itself. Time will tell. The mode Invasion, utterly fucking terrible though, and I will never play that. I'm glad they didn't entirely replace Ground War with this AI-filled disaster, because I don't ever want to play that mode again. Thankfully, it's a side mode, and regular Ground War will also be in always permanently.
That's also worth saying. The game mode itself is, of course, fucking terrible. It's
nothing to do. No flags to go. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, it's stupid. Big team TDM, just autism. Yeah. So yeah, the game mode is, of course, terrible, and the AI just are dumb. Yeah, that's a good point too about, again, how well they've handled verticality, and I do have to give them credit on this map, because you're right. When you're climbing the stairs in downtown Verdansk, you can look out of every single window on each floor.
Yeah.
So if that's a Ground War map, which it is, and someone's sniping at you from that skyscraper over there, which they will be, you have to check 28 different spots. Good luck. I mean, good luck. Every window and the roof. So part of the problem being able to shoot out of every window is that shooting out of a window in floor 14 of a skyscraper is really good, because you can slice the pie, very little expose yourself, and then take pot shots at people. But another reason it's really bad to have all those windows be accessible and be able to be shot out of is, more importantly, again, if you are being shot at, you have to check all of that, and you just can't do it. But now, if I'm getting sniped from this building on whatever this Ground War map is, I don't have to check 27 windows. I have to check the roof and maybe one floor below it that has like a blown out wall or something. It's like I have to check maybe 3 or 4 different areas from that building. That is doable for a human being to do. But I'm not Alpha Zero, so I can't check 28 different areas on when I'm getting sniped at from a building. So that is a really good point that I'm, again, glad you mentioned. It is great that you can't shoot out of every single floor on these buildings. That is a redeeming quality of this map. And also, you could be right. Maybe this map would play totally fine if it was normal Ground War, which is to say Dom. I'm sure it would play better. I can guarantee that. Whether it would be a good ground war map or not, I don't know. Maybe it would be. Maybe I'm totally confusing it for the maybe it's just the map plus this game mode is what makes me feel like the map is so fucking bad. That is actually super possible. You could be right about that. I don't know.
You know, the other issue with this mode, I hope it's not all Ground War, is there's no squad spawns like there was in Modern Warfare 2019
true.
Ground War. That's what made Ground War really fun in that too, but the maps were also a lot bigger than this invasion map we got in general. I think Farmland, if you had to spawn all the way back at your, or on just one of your flags. So the spawns were random. In this, it would usually spawn you back kind of far. You'd have to run up again, or you'd have to run up far. And again, no vehicles, no flags to spawn on, no teammates to spawn on. So I think all of that makes this map seem a lot worse than the actual map itself.
Spawning on flags too, you're right. Yeah, those are good points.
Another thing, if you guys want to look a little early personal look at the Warzone map, play Invasion, you can look around and you're on the Warzone map. You can see Observatory behind you, you can get a better look at it. That map will directly be in the new Warzone map.
Yes, it will be. So yeah. And then supposedly there was another ground war map. I don't know what map it was. I've watched people streaming Ground War and it looked like the map I played 4 times. They either look almost identical or I've been very unlucky and have just not seen it, or it's fake news. One of those 3 things is the case. So I can't comment on the other Ground War map. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. Next, aim assist. So I had said in our COD Next episode that the aim assist looked weaker than MW 2019's aim assist. And I was like, wow, is it possible they nerfed aim assist? And then I had also said, probably not, but it kind of looks that way. And there's also a particular clip making the rounds on Twitter, at least my Twitter kind of web. There is one clip I have seen tweeted, retweeted, quote tweeted, commented on, replied to, reposted, fucking actually 20 times, and I'm tired of seeing it. And it is a clip of some guy saying, I feel bad for keyboard and mouse players. I didn't move my right thumbstick in this clip. And it's some guy shooting at someone with a controller, and then another guy runs by, and his rotational aim assist kicks in, tracks the guy, kills him too. And I was like, okay. So when I look at that clip, I see
3 people. He killed 3 of them.
Oh, okay, yeah. All I see when I watch that clip is the same shit that I've been complaining about since episode 1 for 3 years now, which is rotational aim assist. Doing rotational aim assist. That's it. Doesn't look any worse than MW 2019 or Cold War or Vanguard. It looks like boilerplate standard Call of Duty rotational aim assist. It's certainly no stronger than MW 2019. I have seen that clip 1,000 times between kill cams and other games I've played. So I don't know why this is making all of the fucking Revosect and all these guys cope and seethe and piss their pants on the timeline. Is it busted, overpowered? Of course it is. It's rotational aim assist. But also, what the fuck were you expecting? Because they weren't going to remove rotational aim assist. Surely you knew that, right? But yet, all these people quote tweeting this, who are insane keyboard and mouse players that are very, very, very good, are malding and seething about it as if this is a new transgression inflicted upon them by Call of Duty and that they're surprised by it, which I'm not understanding, because because of course there was going to be rotational aim assist. Of course you can't compete with it in those circumstances. And of course they were going to bring it back. Why are we surprised by this? Why are we acting like this is a shocking revelation? There's rotational aim assist again. It's not any worse than MW 2019. Now, I will also add standard aim assist, not rotational aim assist, is not stronger than MW 2019's. And it might even actually be worse. I don't know, and it probably isn't. It's probably the exact same aim assist in every single way as MW 2019. I would put money on that because I'm 95% sure.
Yeah.
But if it's not, it's definitely no stronger than MW 2019. And further, I can say this without a shadow of a doubt. The rotational aim assist, which is the big issue everyone has with aim assist, is identical to MW 2019. And I don't know why people who wear arm sleeves when they aim are surprised by this. Of course it's the same. Why are you installing the beta and pretending that this is like you've been raped by Activision? Surely
like
you knew there was
to.
going to be... Yeah, exactly. Surely you knew rotational aim assist was going to be exactly the same and in the game again. Like, oh, I shouldn't have pre-ordered the game. Look at how absurd this is. How did you not see this coming, man? Holy shit. I don't even believe you that you didn't see this coming. You just want to farm impressions on Twitter, which is fine. But if that's not what you're doing, then, I mean, get a grip, man. Come on. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, the whole super nerd community is absolutely losing their mind on Twitter. I agree. And I also don't entirely understand it. I complain about aim assist after every single death I have in Warzone, believe me. But I'm also not the person playing a Call of Duty beta, uninstalling it, and then unironically tweeting out, yeah, K-Bam COD is dead. Like something changed with this beta compared to the last 3 years. It has not changed since Modern Warfare 2019, but they still play that game every fucking day and don't complain about it nearly as much on there. It's like, what are you talking about? I saw some kid, don't know who he was, don't remember what it was, but I saw it because like someone else liked the tweet, I think. And the guy was like, yeah, this is fucking crazy. I guess it's another year of playing Modern Warfare 2019. I'm like,
that's the worst take of all time.
It's the same exact identical system. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. I'm not losing my mind over it, but it's because I'm mostly just numb to it at this point. And yeah, it's just annoying at this point, seeing my whole fucking timeline constantly saying that, like, oh, uninstall the beta, this game's fucking trash because of aim assist, blah, blah. I genuinely don't know what else you're expecting. It's like loading up the beta again and expecting not to crash 8 times a day. Of course it's going to crash. It's like, you've played Call of Duty, you played Vanguard, you complained about how broken the aim assist was. You complained Cold War and definitely complained about how broken the aim assist was. You played Modern Warfare 2019 and definitely complained about how bad the aim assist was, but you still continue to play that game. Why do you pick that one over the others and then complain less? I don't know.
Yeah.
But so it's fucking annoying, but don't believe what you see. It's the exact same thing that's been around since Modern Warfare 2019, since crossplay came into play.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally fair to be like, damn, turns out aim assist is just as overpowered as it was in MW 2019 in these circumstances. If that's your position, that's fair and that's fine. But again, were you really expecting them to like turn off rotational aim assist, dude? What, like, you can't be surprised by this. Of course they weren't going to do that. I don't know. It's weird to me. Yeah. But yeah, again, to say I'm going to go back to MW 2019 because the aim assist in 22 is too strong, you are outside of your mind because it's exactly the same. Yeah. It's really that simple. So,
yeah. My next thing here. So I had originally wrote down, I'm a big fan of the new mantling system and the way they designed the maps to let you use it often. You can do a lot of jumping from rooftop to rooftop. On certain maps, like the hotel map, there's some vans. You can mantle and jump on the van. Then you can mantle and like jump on the roof. On farm, there's a lot of spots where you can jump from one lane and you can jump far enough. Seems like you can jump really far in this game, actually. You can jump far enough over to like the broken apartments and then mantle on that ledge and get on. So I was, kind of originally thinking, oh, this is cool. Like, I like the mantling system, but I've kind of come to realize that I actually don't. I feel like the maps are designed so you can mantle more places and jump further, but I'm realizing how much slower the mantling is compared to Modern Warfare 2019, which feels okay now, but that's absolutely something that 2 months from now, I will be like, oh my God, why does it take my character 3 seconds to mantle over this ledge, where in 2019, it was immediate, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the maps are designed well to use the mantling, but I do now think, and I've realized it needs to be sped up a lot after realizing how much slower it is. And then you kind of get caught on a ledge, you pull your pistol out, it's not fluid, then I have to like keep pressing up or jump or something to then mantle over. There's probably some setting actually that can make that quicker that I haven't looked at, because I probably didn't know that page of settings existed, really. Because I know there's a few
times, not 8.
Because I know there's a few different mantle settings that I didn't know existed, because I saw like TikToks of it this morning, so maybe something there will make it faster. But yeah, I think that needs to be sped up a little bit, because it feels like you're like hanging on a ledge for too long before I actually get over.
Yeah, that's what I had written down as well. The mantlings. So here's one positive about the mantling, and this is to be expected, and I've said this before. Treyarch's, one of the worst problems I have in Treyarch Call of Duties is that I will mantle shit I do not want to mantle. So if I want to jump shot or B-hop some corner or something, my character will literally turn his head in both directions, look for anything that he could physically possibly mantle on top of, and instead of just jumping like I want him to, he'll go out of his way 4 feet to his right and mantle it, even though I do not want that at all and I'm not even looking over there. This always happens in Treyarch games. I will mantle shit I do not want to mantle all the fucking time. Infinity Ward games, it very rarely happens, and I'm pleased to report that only happened to me once. In 4 hours, I only accidentally mantled something I did not intend on mantling once. So that's great, because that problem makes me fucking blood red mad in Treyarch games where it happens all the time for some reason. So that's good. However, there is a thing where, since they added the ledge hanging feature, part of the cost of that is that you have to press your jump button twice to get on top of something that in MW 2019 you would only have to press your jump button once to get on top of, because the game needs to confirm or deny whether or not, when you mantle this thing, if your intention is to ledge hang or if your intention is to actually get on top of this thing. So instead of just jumping on top of the box, I first ledge hang on it, and then there's like a little delay, and then I have to press jump again and then do like a separate animation to finish that and mantle on top of it. And this takes way fucking longer than just going straight up on top of it. Now, what I had written down was, despite this, there are probably settings to remedy this. On keyboard and mouse, if they gave us the setting, which is an open question, this is an easy fix. Dedicated ledge hang keybind. So it might be possible for me to tell the game, if I press jump next to a mantleable surface, mantle it automatically. If I want to ledge hang, I'll press a different dedicated button, and then I'll be ledge hanging. That's an easy fix, and then I'd be fine. But I don't know if that would be possible to do on a controller. I don't know if a controller has enough buttons for that to be an option. And if it doesn't, then I don't know if it would be fair and balanced for them to add that setting. Now, I don't care about that, because there are plenty of advantages controller has over keyboard and mouse, so give us the advantage. But the problem is, the devs might see that as too unfair and then not give the keyboard and mouse players that setting, even though they could give the keyboard and mouse players that setting. And with that said, I did not go through the settings and look for this. Maybe it's already in the game for keyboard and mouse. I don't know. But if it is, then you can get around this problem and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. If not, this is going to be extremely annoying, especially in Warzone when you're trying to run into gas or you're getting shot in the back and you want to just immediately get inside of the window, and instead your guy like hangs onto it and like peeks over it and looks around while fucking 5.56 NATO rounds are fucking his ass, literally. And the gas is coming. So we'll see. But this is either going to not be an issue at all, or it's going to be a disastrous issue. Because if I'm going to be forced to go through both steps every time I want to mantle something, again, especially in Warzone, this is going to dramatically slow me down in a way I don't want, because I'm probably never going to ledge hang. And further, it'll get you killed very often. In cases where you otherwise would not have died if you can just get straight on top of the box or into the window or whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I'm a little worried about this. Especially for a mechanic. It could translate
very poorly to Warzone.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for a mechanic like ledge hanging, which is just so rarely going to be useful, if ever. It's probably going to be like blind firing in Vanguard. How often do you guys do that? How many of you know how to blind fire in Vanguard? Because I don't. I literally don't know how to blind fire in Vanguard. And no one does.
I remember there was a challenge in Vanguard to get like five kills that way. And like 2 months into the game, I had like 1 or 2 out of 5 done. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. So very cool.
So my next thing here, don't know exactly how I feel about it yet. Footstep audio is very loud, and they lowered it this weekend compared to the last weekend.
They didn't lower the volume, they just lowered the range.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel. I'm understanding more and more playing this beta why honestly people want a ninja perk or something. Part of that is because, yes, Dead Silence is a field upgrade in the game. No one's using it right now because I think you either have to select like a default class to use it, or you have to hit level, what do you get Dead Silence at? Like level 30, level 25. It's pretty high up there, so a lot of people aren't using it yet. I don't have it unlocked unless you use the default class for it. But even me, when I'm playing, there are certain instances where I would usually like rush something and go in fast, and I hear footsteps far away, so I just like know that I can't do that. And then I basically, will ADS walk something, move in a lot slower, and it does make the game slow down a ton. So before, we saw these people complaining. I generally haven't had a problem with it in Call of Duty, but with this one, I really do think that something needs to change. Either they need to add Dead Silence as a perk that doesn't make your footsteps completely silent, but nerfs them a lot, or the footstep volume needs to go even lower, because it actually is just a footstep sound whore fest, I think. I mean, every single person I come across, I hear their footsteps, which is, great. But then also, it makes me play in a way that I don't want to play so often. And that's just like pre-ADS in corners and shit like that. And I'm not loving it so far. It definitely is slowing down the game. You see people all the time just holding angles where I think like that shit or otherwise would have probably moved if they weren't so scared to move their character and make noise. So I don't know. I think something needs some tweaking. I think the audio needs to be lowered even a little bit more.
I think the reason I don't agree with that is because that does happen and can happen and will happen when you can actually hear footsteps in your game. However, especially like in sixes, there's always gunshots going off. And there are a lot of times where, despite the footstep audio being very audible, you don't hear it where you otherwise would, because you're shooting a gun or someone else is shooting a gun close to you.
I feel like you hear them over gunshots, like pretty easily, honestly.
It depends. I don't know. Depends where the gunshots are, obviously, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't have that issue. I definitely died to little rat fuck pigs camping corners in this beta. And absolutely, some of those people only started camping at that moment because they heard me coming. That's fair. But I think it's worth it. And I don't think the footsteps sounded too loud to me at all. There were plenty of times I got mobbed on and did not hear the guy coming, but I wasn't mad about it because there were other sounds going on, like gunshots or kill streaks, things that should be making sound, that drowned out those footsteps. And I said, okay, that's fair. And then there were plenty of times where there were gunshots that were far enough away to where I did hear someone coming that I should have heard coming, and I was very pleased with that as well. And the thing about footstep audio is it does go both ways. I had way more heads-up gunfights in this game than I have ever had in EbDub 2019. Well, that's probably not true. It might have been true. I had way more heads-up gunfights in this game than I've ever had in Vanguard per hour.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I would hear that guy, and he would also hear me. So it's like, all right, bitch, I hear you running. I know you hear me. This is going to be heads up. And then he fucking b-hops around. I do the same shit, and we're having a heads-up gunfight. And that is why you play an FPS game in multiplayer, is to play heads-up gunfights. That is Call of Duty. At its core, it is where two players know that the other person is there, and they're both trying to aim their guns with their characters in first person at an enemy player and shoot bullets at them. And there were a lot of heads-up gunfights that I did not get in the Cold War beta, that I did not get in the Vanguard beta, because of footstep audio. Can you game it by being a little rat fuck? Sometimes, yeah. But I think it's worth it. Because I don't think it was happening so often that you need to nerf footstep audio. It didn't seem too loud to me. And the range seemed perfect. I did not hear people far away, ever. When I heard footsteps, that guy was about to be on my screen inside of 1.5 to 2 seconds. Every time. So I think the range they nailed. I think the range is perfect.
That may be fair, yeah.
And I think the audio is fine.
The other thing too is that there's more to this than just the footstep audio. It's also things like, one, it's a beta. People move far less in a beta when they don't know the map and they're not super comfortable with a gun. You can go back and watch any Call of Duty beta or week one of launch. The game plays a lot slower than it did a year after it was released. So that's a factor with it too. Also, when there's a title that has Modern Warfare in it, you're bringing in a lot more casual players that aren't usually COD fans, or definitely not COD mains, because it's a Modern Warfare title, and they may, be like our age, where they grew up playing like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, shit like that, but are more casual gamers now. It brings those people back who aren't good, and so they're going to play that way either way. So I think that's something people always directly relate to the footstep audio, but it is more than just that, because like you're bringing in, yesterday, every Tarkov streamer that I follow on Twitch was streaming the beta. All of them. There was none of the Tarkov streamers were streaming Tarkov. Those guys don't play Call of Duty. They were playing it because it's a Modern Warfare title. They like guns. They like the gun customization. They think it's cool. So they come in and play. And even watching those guys who are Tarkov chads, they play the game way slower than a Call of Duty sweat would play. So you bring those players into it, and that's their play style as it is. And that's not always directly relating to the footstep audio at all, which I think is the number one mistake that people always make. Like Charlie Intel, Exclusive Ace, a lot of people like that literally only relate the footstep audio, and or the reason people play slow in pre-ADS corners is because of the footstep audio, but also it's a Modern Warfare game. We're getting all these players that don't play Call of Duty coming into play. Of course, they're not sliding and jumping around corners. They don't play the game. They don't know how to even do that. So they're going to hold corners and listen for footsteps and just play that way, because that's how they play every other shooter they play.
That's a great point. People who play slow and ratty are going to play slow and ratty regardless of whether you can hear footsteps or not.
No, is a great example. Airwing Marine. My boy was streaming Call of Duty yesterday. He played exactly like Tarkov. He's sitting in the back with a DMR holding angles, and that's how that guy's going to play either way. Exactly. Footstep audio has nothing to do with him playing that way. So I do think it goes both ways, but I still think footstep audio could be reduced a little bit to balance it out a little bit better, so people can rush more and not be so scared to move. And then it just be better balanced that way.
I might be okay with that, but like, yeah, like if you reduced it a little bit, I'd be fine with that, because it's like super audible now. If you want to lower it a bit, don't get crazy, Activision, but if you want to lower it a bit, sure. But another thing too is like, you and I both, especially in a beta, we're W keying everything always. I never felt like I was getting cucked by my footstep audio. I was never scared to move because I was afraid people were going to hear me. I just think
when I came around corners, I had to start ADSing and shit, checking for people more if I heard something, versus I would just otherwise sprint in. And, I think come around that corner a little bit quicker in general. So, but again, it's a beta and I don't know where people are going to be coming from always. There's less flow than there will be in a few months.
Right.
People will learn routes they like and it'll change a lot. And my last thing on the audio is the vertical audio, which they said was much improved in this game. I absolutely agree. It is very much improved upon. It is very simple to tell if someone's above you, below you, or on the same level. I noticed this right away. I was in a building and I heard someone running and I was like, holy shit. I haven't seen this guy yet. I'm still not 100% sure, but he has to be above me based on that footstep audio, because it sounds like he's running. It sounds like they went to someone's first floor apartment, recorded a family running directly above them on the second floor apartment. That's what it sounds like. So easy to distinguish they were directly above me, which is not the case in like Warzone, not the case in MDub 2019. Right away, I knew, okay, that footstep audio has more bass to it. It's more like boom, 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 boom. I can tell he's above me 100%. And sure enough, he was.
Yeah.
You can tell when people are below you and on the same level. So that has definitely been improved upon. Hopefully that translates over to Warzone too. We'll fucking see. But overall, that's something they said they improved upon, and they absolutely did.
Which is really good. And yeah, that's going to be way more important for Warzone than for multi. But yeah, that's really good to hear.
And for like ground war on the multi-level buildings and whatnot, a lot easier to spot people.
I never noticed vertical audio being good or bad in the beta, which is probably again a good thing.
Yeah.
Probably means it worked as intended, so I didn't flag it in my mind. But I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah. What do we got next?
Sliding exists, and there's no reason to do it ever. I couldn't find a time where sliding benefited me more than just sprinting. So they keep describing it as like, you can slide to get into cover. No, it's slower to slide. You're better off just continuing that sprint or jumping around the corner, because by the time you go into the sliding animation, the slide is slow. Doesn't feel like you go very far. It's not fluid. It is actually never worth doing. I think after my second or third game, I was like, okay, I just can't slide ever. And I tried not to. And then, I wouldn't slide for a few games and I'd get into another one. And like at the start of the game, I'd be trying to cross the map quicker. So I'd slide somewhere. I'm like, oh, cool. The guy that was sprinting right next to me on my team just blew past me when I slid, because it slows you down. So there's just no reason to do it, actually. You actually may as well unbind it, because sliding does nothing for you in this game.
Yep. Yeah. 100% true based, and guess what? Oracles. Exactly as we predicted. We put out an episode talking about you can slide cancel, but there's no fucking reason to. We put out a podcast where we said this, got some criticism, put out a TikTok of us just saying this, and got absolutely flamed. Someone who has aim assist off in their bio,
oh my god,
unironically asked what my stats were, as if they were lower than this fucking idiots were. So I gladly gave them to him, and I said, and I didn't say anything, but I will say it now in case he listens, which he won't, of course. First of all, unsubscribe from this podcast, kid. You don't have a working fucking brain. Also, can guarantee they're higher than his. And thirdly, we were exactly right. Everyone on that TikTok, oh, these guys are dog shit. They don't know how to slide cancel. Of course, you should be slide canceling in MDub 222, etc. I was very confident that was not going to be the case for precisely the reasons I laid out in that COD Next episode. And guess what? I was 100% exactly correct for exactly the same reasons I said at the time, which is you can slide cancel, but why though? And guess what? I played my first match. I was in the slide canceling habit. I was running around slide canceling, and I was getting my asshole thoroughly and completely fucked every single time. And I died very obviously solely because I was sliding actually 10 times or more inside of my first 2 matches. And then I finally was like, okay, I have to stop sliding. I have to break this habit. As soon as I did, 2+ KD or whatever, did infinitely better instantly. Of course we were right. There's no reason to slide cancel in this game, so stop doing it. Further than that, something we didn't predict is, as Tanner said, there actually isn't a reason to slide ever. The way sliding behaves now, there is no reason to do it because it's faster and probably better to simply jump or just keep sprinting to get around that wall. Or this is the best way to do it, unironically, dolphin dive. So I played probably 2 hours of the beta and I dolphin dove once. And I said, oh, that's novel. Didn't think about it again and kept sprinting and only sprinting for another 2 hours or so. Then I'm playing Mercado. I'm looking down mid lane. There's a guy to my right and he like peeked the corner, shot at me a couple times, went back behind the corner, and he wanted to get to B. So I'm pre-aiming it, waiting for the guy. And all of a sudden, I see fucking Chad Ochocinco dive through the air like Dennis Rodman, and instantly he's just gone right to B. And there is no chance on God's green earth I'm killing this guy. Impossible. He's fucking dolphin diving. He's literally prone midair, and you are fucking moving, by the way. You dolphin dive fucking quick. So he is just immediately right across the chasm. By far the safest way to cross a lane is to dolphin dive it. You're impossible to kill. If I had aim assist, I still was never killing this guy while he's dolphin diving. You do it super quick. You make your hitbox really long and skinny, which is going to make it very difficult for you to be shot, let alone killed. And you will immediately get to where you want to go. So if there's ever some scenario where you're running while getting shot at and you need to get behind cover quickly before you die, you should either keep sprinting or better yet, actually dolphin dive, and you will survive. They'll stop landing bullets on you. It is super good for diving behind cover. It's super good. Now, it looks pretty goofy. I'm going to be honest. Doesn't look realistic. Because you actually Dennis Rodman this shit. You are fucking 5.5 feet off the ground in a full dive. That shit's going to hurt a lot in real life. And it looks kind of silly. And you do it really fast. But it's actually a really good technique. And it's not a good combat technique. You're not going to... It's not like MW 2019 where you slide cancel past someone to camera them, or you slide cancel into someone while hip firing to shrink your hitbox. It's terrible for that. If you dolphin dive into someone, you're going to incur a significant penalty where you can't be shooting or moving because you're going to be prone at the end of it, and you're going to die. And that's a good thing. That's a good balancing mechanism, because it's not going to be like slide canceling in MW 19 where it's good for mid gunfight and for getting into cover. It is rather only good for getting into cover, but it's really good for getting into cover. Meaning it's a balanced movement mechanic that I'm a gigantic fan of. And I promise all of you, if you're trying to get to cover quickly, dolphin dive and you'll live. I promise. I actually promise. They won't land another bullet once you're midair. It's impossible to be shot at. It's so good. You guys need to be dolphin diving more if you're just trying to run behind cover. But it's not a movement mechanic that you're ever going to use mid gunfight or you're going to get pissed on. And I love that. I think it's a great feature. My only criticism is it looks goofy. It looks silly. You have way too much airtime. If you're going to dolphin dive, you should be doing it lower. It would be just as effective, and it wouldn't look as goofy. But the only downside on the movement front for me is that there's no reason to slide ever now, which is unfortunate, especially because the dolphin dive exists. Dolphin dive does everything sliding intends to do, but significantly better in this game, and therefore you should never slide. Actually, literally never. I literally can't see a scenario where sliding is good.
Exactly. So that's why it's like, well, in that point,
why have sliding?
Why do we even have it then?
Exactly.
So they need to either make the sliding needs to be faster. It needs to go. You need to slide a longer distance. Something else needs to change because currently it's just there's no reason to ever do it, and then it just feels weird that all I'm doing is running around, tack sprinting around, and jumping, and then dolphin diving on off occasion that I need to get into cover, and it may actually help me.
Did you try dolphin diving?
Yeah, the thing dolphin diving is good for too, which I think they actually talked about during COD Next, and it actually does have some utility. Dolphin diving through a window. Pop and I were doing that on ground work because we saw some other guy do that.
That's why you do
so
it
instead
for
of going up to the going up to the window and doing the animation of you like mantling and jumping over it, you fucking dolphin dive a few feet away from it. You go right through your inside cover way faster. So I think it's good for stuff like that.
Try that.
But yeah, dolphin diving in a fight, I was thinking like, oh, I can like dolphin dive straight at people, shoot them. You can't shoot when you're dolphin diving. You can't shoot in the air, so it ruins that. So then you're just floating directly at someone doing nothing, and then you lay on the ground, and then they're already shooting you before you can even get a shot off, and you're dead. So there's no reason to dolphin dive in a fight either. You're better off doing it just to get to cover pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, the movement I think feels a little clunky right now because sliding is just.
They need to. Don't even have it sliding. They just have to.
Don't even have it in the game if it's that bad of utility because there's no fucking reason to do it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me hip fire, slide faster, slide further. If you're gonna get rid of slide canceling, okay, but don't make the slide completely useless and miserable like they've made it.
Yeah,
that's my biggest thing.
Exactly. If they made sliding better, all they have to do is just not reset tack sprint when you slide cancel. And then there would be a use case for sprinting, tack sprinting, dolphin diving, and sliding. All they have to do to make that happen is allow me to use tacticals while I'm sliding and allow me to hip fire while I'm sliding. And make the sliding more fluid and or longer. I think it needs to be a longer, maybe even a faster slide as well. And if they did that, then there would be a different use case for all 4 types of movement, which is massively increasing the skill gap. Being able to slide cancel 8 billion times in a row to reset tack sprint is not a skill gap that we want to encourage because it's not hard to slide cancel. It's just annoying because you're making me do it when there are no enemies around to get from point A to point B faster. I will never back down from that point. It's dumb. You should still be able to slide cancel. It just shouldn't reset your tack sprint. That's always been our only point. But yeah. With the way sliding works in this game, there's actually no reason to do it. There is no use case where I think you should be sliding. Because in any case where a slide might be better than sprinting, a dolphin dive would be far better than both. Therefore, you should never slide, which is dumb. Why have it in the game? So hopefully, but they won't, because it's Infinity Ward, they address this. Because here's the thing, too. What Infinity Ward has said, and what they're thinking about doing, and what I think they've talked about doing, they definitely did in that blog post we went over. They said they're going to look into making sliding more fluid or whatever. If they make sliding more fluid, so you do it faster, longer, whatever, but you still can't hip fire or use tacticals while you're doing it, I don't care how fluid or fast the slide is, unless it's way faster than it is now. Then that still wouldn't be enough to ever make sliding worth it. If I can't hip fire my gun while I'm sliding, it basically doesn't matter how fluid it is. There's still never a reason to do it because, again, either sprinting or dolphin diving would be better. So even if they increase if they make it much more fluid, which they said they're looking into doing, I still don't think that's enough to make sliding ever worth doing.
Yeah, I agree.
So in addition to making it more fluid, I hope they add the ability to hip fire and tactical, but frankly, I doubt they will. Which is unfortunate. Just unbind slide and get used to dolphin diving. Speaking of proning, dropshotting. Dropshotting is in the game, and I think they handled it pretty well, actually, because COD 4 drop shots were really good and wildly unrealistic and kind of absurd. You would aim down sight, and then you would just float to the ground, but quickly also, while having
just drop
pinpoint accuracy, and your reticle would not move at all. And then, which is obviously not possible in real life. It's not possible to do a drop shot like COD 4 in real life. It's literally not physics. Because if you just aim down sight like that and kept your reticle still and then went to prone, you would actually just be belly flopping the earth. It's not possible to do that. So for the realism aspect, that's one thing. I don't care about that though. But the other thing is it's really fucking strong. So then one way around that is to not let players do it, like in Black Ops 4. And that sucks because I like drop shotting. In fact, I like it so much, I named our fucking podcast after it. It's called The Drop Shot. I love drop shotting. Okay. It was absurd and really good, but I love it. And I think it's a good way to add a skill gap. So removing it sucked too. What's a good middle ground? I think MW2, actually. You can drop shot in this game. You'll stay ADS the whole time, but you'll see your guy putting his left hand on the floor so that he can actually go prone without breaking his fucking jaw, right? But you're still ADS'd, but it's like only with one hand, so you like can't your gun, and it looks a little wobbly, but not too bad, and therefore drop shotting is still very effective, absolutely worth doing, but not the most goated, you should drop shot every single fight strat like it was in COD 4. I think this is a great middle ground for drop shotting. You're able to do it, but it's not quite as good as it once was. I think it's really good. And it looks kind of realistic too, which is what MW2 22 is going for. It's going for like looking really realistic. And I think the drop shot they have now is a great middle ground for all of those things. I'm a big fan of it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I thought it's, I don't know if it's only with my settings. I literally couldn't, how do you drop shot compared to dolphin diving? Every time I tried to do it, I did it early on, and then it must have been one of the settings that I changed when we were changing like tac sprint and shit. I couldn't drop shot after. If I was moving, I couldn't. It just dolphin dived every single time.
That's weird. It's
I tried holding down, I tried tapping it, nothing would work. It would dolphin dive every single time.
It's definitely a setting, because for me to dolphin dive, I have to change stance for a second.
Okay.
So there's like a small delay before I'll dolphin dive.
Yeah, okay. So mine's absolutely some setting then, because I tap it.
Setting,
I even tried tapping it really, really quick. I'm like, maybe it's like you barely have to tap the button. I tried holding it down for longer every time. If I was doing more than walking, it dolphin dive me. So I'll have to figure that out, because I couldn't use it very much. But when I did the first few games, it felt good. Yeah, I think it's perfectly balanced. I also like drop shotting in games. I hate when they take it out. Just, again, like what they're doing with sliding this year, makes the game feel too clunky, and there's just no reason to do it. It's not a full realism shooter. Let me stay ADS'd and, drop down and still shoot at someone. So I like how they've handled it.
Yeah, I agree. And again, having drop shotting, it's just yet another mechanic, yet another tool that you can allow players to use to separate themselves from other players. if you make an FPS game that has no sprinting, no sliding, no jumping, no proning, whatever, and you can just only move and like aim, it's like, well, you're really selecting for aiming skill gap there and like map knowledge, but you're losing a lot of depth. And when you add more things, like if you can jump in that hypothetical game, well, now you're adding a skill gap. So you actually are creating a wider skill gap between the best players and the worst players. And then you add drop shotting, and then you add sliding, et cetera, et cetera. So the more of these different things that are viable in specific situations you add, the wider skill gap you're creating, and therefore the more you will be rewarded, the more often you will be rewarded with a kill for being the better player. Because when you play a game, any game, the person who's better at the game should win the game as often as possible. So having things like that contributes to that. So, what do we got next? Pussy.
So my next thing. Visibility appears a lot better than the streams we were watching last weekend. They reduced the amount of muzzle smoke and other particles in the air, supposedly. I think they actually did a pretty good job overall. Definitely look way better, especially playing Mercado. I had seen a lot of people complain about that map weekend one on PlayStation, saying that like the visibility at mid was terrible. I never had that issue at all, and I think most of those people haven't been complaining about that since. There are other issues with visibility that we'll get into a second, but in terms of just actually running around the map, being able to spot people, not having the sun have a rainbow glare all over my screen like in Vanguard, I think they did a really good job. The ground war map does have a little bit of sun glare. Not as bad as anything we ever saw in Modern Warfare or Warzone, though. It is very little, and when you stare at the sun, instead of it blinding you even more, it just goes away and there's no glare whatsoever. So I think they handled it really well. We haven't seen too many maps yet, though, so that's definitely subject to change. But as of right now, I would say the regular map visibility is a lot better than Modern Warfare 2019 had.
Yes, I agree. Now, this is one big caveat. I need to play more to tell you how the visibility compares to MW 2019, because 4 hours isn't enough. With that said, I was very surprised at how seldom I did not see someone who was on my screen that I should have seen. Let me be clear, that did happen a couple times, but I don't know the maps yet. So if I don't know at all where people might be or where to look, that's going to happen more often. Even in a game maybe with good visibility, that would happen. So far, it seems like the visibility in general is actually better than MW 2019's, which is shocking and very welcome if true. But again, I need to play more, because maybe that's not true, because I don't know why that's the case. When I look at a side-by-side video of MW 2019 and this game, it looks like the visibility should not be better on 22. Yet in my experience, there were not many times where someone was on my screen and I didn't see them. I don't know why. So maybe I just got lucky for 4 hours. That's my caveat. Maybe the visibility is just as bad, but I didn't have enough issues to where I would be, if you've listened to this podcast for a while, I'd be telling you about it. So that was good. And on the topic of the muzzle flash and shit, the muzzle smoke, the muzzle flash was not an issue at all for me. Even when using iron sights, I wasn't losing people to smoke or muzzle flash, which is good, obviously. So that is nice. And as someone said in chat, Exclusive Ace posted a side-by-side comparison of beta weekend 1 and 2 of muzzle smoke and muzzle flash, and it is indeed a night and day difference, as it should be. So that's been
much
good
improved.
too. So yeah.
The other thing that I think that helps this year is we have AMD Fidelity again, which Vanguard had. And that helps so much with how the game looks, in my opinion.
Is what it's
called,
called,
AMD Fidelity CAS. You don't need AMD video card for it. If you have NVIDIA GPU, you can do it. I think you can even do it on console. I think that's how it was in Vanguard, which is odd, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. But if you turn that sucker on, it makes the game look so much sharper. And in my opinion, a little bit sharper game always leads to way better visibility.
Yeah.
It's like same thing in Tarkov. The game seems blurry. You pop a painkiller, sharpens your game. You see so much better. So if you haven't already, there's a tip. Turn on AMD fidelity. Turn off DLSS. Never use DLSS unless you're actually getting 20 frames and need to use it for something.
Beta anyway. Maybe it is.
It is. It's in there.
I couldn't find it. Wonder what submenu that's in. Fuck you, Infinity Ward.
Yeah, so AMD Fidelity Cast, turn it to 75, 100, whatever you want. It'll make the game a lot sharper, makes
100.
everything a lot easier to spot.
Yeah, that helped a lot for sure.
So one thing, I guess, let's put this one after. Let me talk about this, the weapon visibility here first. So, the visibility is good in general, I think, seeing people. This is when it is not, and it starts going the opposite direction. I don't know if it's because I'm on K-Bam. Well, I know that's a big part of it. It is not possible to use iron sights on an AR and track anything or see anything at all past 25, 30 meters, probably. You can use irons on SMGs, sure, because using this at close range, the people, you're still going to be able to see them, but the amount of absurd visual recoil on an M4 with attachments on it compared to Modern Warfare 2019 M4 is a massive difference. You're shooting at anything at range and you just entirely lose track of it. There's already been some clips out there. I think TGD actually posted a clip of that one where he's like, what am I shooting at? Because you can't see a goddamn thing. And I keep seeing all these meta builds already on Twitter. All the controller kids are like, oh, here's the meta M4, by the way. And all of them have irons. I'm like, I don't know how you guys are using this shit. I am forced to run an optic on every AR because I lose track of my target as soon as I start shooting. And I don't know if they ran left, if they ran right, if they're standing still, if they crouch. I can't see a goddamn thing. No tracking at all. So that needs to change. You don't realize watching like Weekend 1 and stuff, I saw a lot of people talking about the visual recoil. It looked bad, but you don't realize how bad it is until I just so happened to see a Warzone clip this morning of someone using the Modern Warfare M4, and I was like, oh, holy shit, yeah, the visual recoil in Modern Warfare 2 is so much worse on the M4 than MW 2019. So much worse. Like, the rear post, or the rear circle and the front post completely like pass each other every single shot, like they bounce outside of each other. They're not even lined up because of visual recoil. It is not that way if you watch any gameplay from the Modern Warfare 2019 M4. You can always see the front post crystal clear and see your target. So this needs to change. They need to really cut back on that, because I would love to not have to use an optic on my gun. That'd be great if I can shoot, since it's only 5 attachments. I would love to use an attachment on something else, but I just feel like I can't at any AR range. 30, 40 meters, I can't see a goddamn thing firing full auto at all because of the visual recoil. I can see the person when I un-ADS, but the visual recoil makes it actually like guns unusable if they don't have an optic on them.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about this, because you're absolutely correct. The M4 has, with iron sights, it has rear irons, which are attached to the receiver, which means you cannot get rid of them. And then it also has front irons. And hey, real life gun manufacturers, what the fuck are you doing? I don't need 2 different sets of iron sights, because yeah, when I shoot a gun once, it's going to kick up. So now I'm going to be looking through the giant iron sight closest to my eyeball, and all I'm going to see is the bottom of my front iron sight. In real life, that's what would happen, right? I've never shot a gun, so tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if your fucking head and eye would teleport down at the same exact degree that the gun is recoiling. I somehow fucking doubt it. So why are we designing guns in real life this way? Don't know. Someone please help. We only need 1 iron sight, first of all, in real life and in game. So stop it. Remington or whoever the fuck makes M4s, Change it.
You can't use only one iron sight, man.
Why? There's obviously a reason that's why they do it. But
well, anywhere you turn your head, it'd be different. That means your front post is going to be somewhere where the barrel's not pointing. If your head's too far to the left, you're going to be looking and think your head onto the target, but your bullet's going way to the right. It has to be lined up.
So there have to be
one little head turn. The smallest head turn would entirely change.
Oh, yeah. I see. That makes perfect sense, actually. So that you know where your barrel's pointing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Well, in that case, M4 designers, don't make it a goddamn circle, okay? Just make it a little fucking like the Grau. Yeah, like the Grau's iron sight. You would accomplish the same thing by just having one little piece of metal just sticking up. And then I could line up the two pieces of metal that are sticking up so that when I turn my head, I don't have that problem, as Tanner pointed out. Why not do that, M4 designers? Change it.
I don't think the Grau iron sight is real. I don't think that's how it works. Usually on the back, there'd also be another circle.
I don't know, man.
It's pretty much always a circle and then a front post.
I hate
most of the time.
If anyone here is in a special operations division, please explain to me why it has to be a fucking circle, because I hate it. But anyways, you're right. It is impossible to shoot people full auto with an AR beyond 25 meters with iron sights. Absolutely true with the M4. This was the case also in MW 2019. It just wasn't as bad. There were guns in MW 2019 that I literally would have used, but the irons were so bad that I wouldn't use it for specifically that reason. Best example is the, oh, fuck my ass. What was it called? What was the gun where the first two bullets came out faster than the rest of them, but it was still full auto?
AN-94?
AN-94. That gun, I would have loved to use it. It was not great, but it was decent in multiplayer. Except, no, it wasn't, because you could not use the iron sights on that gun. They were so fucking dog shit that you had to put an optic on it to use it in multiplayer. And therefore, I only have 4 attachments instead of 5, and therefore, not using it anymore. I'll use something where the iron sights are at least passable. That was the case in MW 2019, and I thought that was kind of a good thing because, again, when you don't guarantee attachments, this is an aspect of weapon balance that I think is fair. But it seems to me like in this game, every single AR is going to be this way.
Yeah,
not just that AN-94 and a select few other. There are other ARs in MW 2019 where you can't use them without a reticle, but most of them you could get by. In this game, it feels like it's going to be like almost all of the ARs, unless they have like a Grau or AK iron sight. AK iron sight, again, perfect. It's not a full complete circle. It has an open top. Why not do that? You know?
Yeah.
Why not do that? That's fine. So this is another aspect of weapon balance. I think that could be fine, but the M4 is absolutely unusable without an optic. And maybe that's okay, is my point. It just depends on if that's going to be true for every AR or not. I don't know.
I think it will be. I think every gun is just going to have entirely too much visual recoil. Yeah.
It seems like it might be, unfortunately. Yeah. So.
Yep. My next thing here, there's too much reticle bounce when ADSing and like walking, and the idle sway is also really bad on a lot of guns. I was using the F-TAC Recon, I think it is, the 458, which fucks, by the way. That thing like 2 taps up close. It's actually like a DMR, but it's better up close than at range because of the recoil on it. But anyways, I'm using an EOTech optic on it, and I'm trying to aim at someone on a head glitch 50 meters away. That thing sways everywhere. All over the damn place.
There is a lot of.
Why should I have to use aim stability attachments on a red dot optic. There's literally more sway on like the red dots than there are like a 4x optic that zooms in. Makes no sense at all. Needs to be fixed. I think that is something they can definitely balance, whether that's on launch or after. I think we'll see some balance to that because it's way too much idle sway, man. I should never have to use an idle sway aim stability attachment on any gun other than something with like a 6x plus zoom level on it, a sniper, a DMR semi-auto with a sniper scope on it. Never make me think I need aiming stability when using a red dot, basically an EOTech that zooms. What is the zoom on that? 0.5, 1 or 1? 1.5, yeah. Whatever it is, it zooms the smallest amount. Jesus Christ, it sways all over the place. It's terrible.
I think I disagree, and here's why. There is absolutely a lot of idle sway in this game, way more than MW 2019 on like ARs where that thing would not move at all in MW 2019 with the same attachments or equivalent attachments. However, my thought process is if I'm using a holo, for example, the amount of idle sway, the ranges at which I'm going to be shooting someone when I'm using a holo are close enough to where the amount of idle sway the gun has isn't going to matter, and it's really not going to make me miss shots very often at all. And on the upside, this is going to be really good for Warzone, because if there's that much idle sway with a holo, imagine what it's going to be like with a 3x optic. There's going to be a fair amount of idle sway. What does that mean? Number one, you're going to still use all recoil control attachments, and you're going to have to deal with a bunch of idle sway in Warzone, so you won't be able to fuck my ass with every single bullet and have a gun with 0 recoil in Warzone. Or at least it will have 0 recoil probably with all the attachments. But at least you'll have to put up with the idle sway. It'll make beaming someone at super long range in full auto a lot harder in Warzone, effectively increasing the TTK, which is what we all want. Or you can say, I refuse to put up with this much idle sway, so I'm going to put attachments on to combat that, and therefore, instead of using a recoil attachment for my foregrip, I'm going to put on an idle sway attachment instead, and therefore my gun's going to have less recoil control than it could, and therefore I'm not going to hit as many shots from super giga far range, again increasing the practical TTK of the game. And now that was a lot of speculation, so we'll see if that would actually translate, but maybe that's fine. That's kind of where my head's at with this idle sway.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm not kidding. I think the EOTech had more sway than the 4x, because I also used the 4x.
That would be a change it. Yeah.
I was at B on Museum using the 458 FTAC Recon with an EOTech, and I could not get my reticle on target of a guy that was on the opposite side of that fountain statue thing. Okay, that close, I could not even hit him in the head. I fired 4 shots. I could not get it because the sway was going fucking everywhere. But I will say on the higher zoom scopes, the recoil is insane. You know, we don't have all the attachments unlocked for the guns, but when I was using even like an M4, that shit bounces all around, which is great if that's how it's going to be. I would love to have a lot of recoil in the game. I don't want to get beamed from 300 meters with a fully automatic LMG like in Warzone. Holy shit, that'd be like these builds I had, it feels like you couldn't hit anyone full auto at 50 meters even because there was so much recoil. So, you know, I mean, hopefully it won't end up being that case. They'll lower the recoil, of course, to cater to casuals. Yeah, but as of now, that from what I tested in Ground War, that felt really, really good in terms of having a shit ton of recoil. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. Here's the reality, by the way. This is all a fantasy. The guns won't have any idle sway or recoil in Warzone by season 3. I can just guarantee you that. So this is all fantasy. We of course know that. maybe we'll have fun for season 1, and then they'll just make everything super easy and completely collapse the skill gap. But anyway. Next is the movement speed. We had commented on movement looking pretty fucking zippy, pretty fucking fast in the weekend 1 beta gameplay we saw. And it feels that way in game. Now, on the one hand, movement feels less fluid than MW 2019, but that's because the slide is dog shit. So you're not sliding around everywhere. You're just running. And the running doesn't feel bad, or it doesn't feel clunky. It just doesn't feel as smooth as being in this kind of trance-inducing, rhythmic dip and up of constantly slide canceling everywhere. You feel like you're on a fucking magic carpet ride through Saudi Arabia in MW 2019 because you're forced to slide cancel everywhere. You don't get that feeling, so it feels a little less fluid and kind of floaty than MW 2019 did. However, it didn't really feel slower than MW 2019 to me. I felt like I was moving my character as quickly, or maybe, but probably not, even faster than MW 2019. So the movement speed in general feels good. Maybe it's not as fast as MW 19, but it's close enough to where I'm happy with how quickly my character moves. And it's also incredibly gun dependent. Here's another thing I noticed, by the way. How for the duration of your tac sprint depends on what gun you have. And you can't tell me otherwise. I was using the DMR and I would, sorry. I was using either the gun you have or the attachments you have on it, or both. I was using the M16. I would tac sprint for 2 milliseconds and it would be out. And then I would use the FSS Hurricane or whatever, the dogshit SMG that fires 5 rounds per minute. I would tac sprint for 20 minutes before it ran out. Same perks. So that's an interesting change, if true, which it is. That no one's talking about. I don't know if you noticed that, Tanner, but the duration of your tac sprint absolutely depends on what gun you have out.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
But so your weapon will drastically impact how quickly you move, as it should, which is good. But in general, I think the movement speed felt good. And more importantly, arguably, as importantly at least, sprint out time felt great in general. I like that a lot, especially in a game that's going to have this fast of a TTK, which is equal to MW 2019, by the way. This is a point I was going to mention later. I'll say it now. The time to kill is too fast. It's the same as MW 2019. The reason I'm not absolutely losing my mind right now is because, of course, it was going to be the same as MW 2019. I was expecting this. Is the TTK too fast? Yes, it is. It needs to be slower. Will it be? No, never. Was I expecting it to be slower? Of course not. So that's that. The time to kill is faster than it should be, and I'm done. Because they were never going to change it. I wasn't expecting them to change it, and they didn't change it. So cool.
Yeah.
Got it. Am I sad? Yes. Time to kill is too fast, but whatever. There's nothing any of us are ever going to be able to do about it. Missed opportunity. Fine. When you're going to have a TTK this fast, you need a fast fucking sprint out time in general, and this game has a faster sprint out time, almost certainly, we can wait for the exclusive Ace video, than MW 2019, which it desperately needs when you die this quickly, which helps people who move their characters. The sprint out time felt very good in general to me, which I was very, very, very fucking pleased with. What are your thoughts?
I think the movement ended up being a little bit slower than how it looked to me in the PlayStation beta. So I do think that needs to be sped up, only because sliding is kind of a waste of time as of right now until they hopefully fix something for launch. So it's faster, you go further, you can shoot from it, you can stop sliding. Something needs to change with that. Because it does make the entire movement system just feel a little bit clunky. But In general, the main thing I have a problem with right now is the ADS movement speeds on most guns are very bad.
True. Very true, actually.
Like if you're using
shit.
even like an M4 or something, the strafe speed is fucking awful, which I don't like at all. It makes you an easy target when you're ADSing, and you have to ADS, of course. So it's like then I'm just standing there, not moving my character at all. So that needs to be sped up. I would love to see the movement speed increase. It's not going to be increased. It's going to be how it is in the main game. So I think them making some more changes to the sliding alone will make the game feel a lot more fluid, and I'll be okay with the movement speed. Because I forgot who said it yesterday. It kind of just like, as of now, it feels like you don't know how to move your character. Like I just feel like a bad player running around the map because you don't know how to move. Like it just feels like because you can't slide cancel everywhere like you used to be able to. So it just feels clunky and slow. And then it's like, I'm like, holy shit, I'm running right now and not tack sprinting. What's going on? Because I haven't done that for the last 3 years, you know? So it feels so odd that I'm just like sprinting at a normal speed, waiting for tack sprint to regen, or I'm having to hold a corner because I hear someone running. It just all feels a little off right now. And I think that could be fixed by them messing with the sliding mechanic, as we already talked about. And then I think that'll make the movement feel perfect. But as of now, definitely not as fluid as Modern Warfare 2019 is, or even Modern Warfare 2019 at launch. I think that had good movement right off the bat.
Yeah.
In terms of everything being fluid.
I agree.
But so I would love to see movement speed increase a little bit. Really don't think we will at all, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we will either. And then last point for me on the topic of movement as well. Bee hopping is back, baby. So what is this? You want to peek a corner, you know there's some guy behind it. You sprint, you ADS and turn, and then you jump, and you are ADS while jumping, and you start shooting at the guy. And then you jump again once you land, and then you like double jump, basically. This is something you can do in MW 2019. It's something very good players do. It is actually pretty hard to do in MW 2019, and it depends on what gun you have. In this game, it is far easier to bee hop, and it is far springier. And you can really fucking double jump in this game. And I like it, because again, it's another skill gap. You can fucking, if you want to like slow peek something because you want to have access to that cover, you can do that. Or if you want to full send wide as fuck peek someone, you can bee hop out there and you get out there, which is very cool because the upside is you're moving quickly and you're changing your X and Y axis. And then the downside is X and Z. The downside is you're fully committing to this, because if you can't get back into cover now, you've massively wide peaked. So again, it's another skill gap mechanic. And I have not seen the ability to bee hop be this good. I don't even remember when it was this good. I don't know if it was ever this good. The degree to which you can bee hop in this game is ridiculous. You can fucking fly. And I like it because it's not cartoonish or like too good, I would say, but it's very good. Way better than Vanguard, Cold War, or MW 2019, or even BO4.
Interesting. I feel like the bee hopping is exactly the same as MW 2019.
Really?
And in Vanguard, you can even triple jump easier, I think.
Vanguard?
Yeah. Don't you remember we saw that right away in the Vanguard? What was that stupid game mode that we never played? Like the alpha that we didn't have access to. It was that dumb game mode that we never once tried. There was a clip going around of someone hitting like 3 or 4 bunny hops in a row. So it was even easier in Vanguard. To me, it feels literally identical to MW 2019. It's just we didn't do it as much back then. Weird. Because of sliding. It feels the same to me. I just feel like I bunny hop more because that's all you can do right now, pretty much.
It feels.
I mean, every corner I come around, I just bunny hop.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like it. It feels a lot more, feels kind of like COD 4. It's just bunny hopping is all you can do. no sliding or anything. Sliding, didn't exist in that game. So that's kind of
Exactly.
what it reminds me of. But
Yeah, if you want a wide peak, you have
I
to
want
be
a good slide. We still need both.
I agree. That's ideal. Yeah. Because then you can wide peak in a variety of ways. Yeah, for sure. But either way, that's it. So overall, I will say this. I had a lot of fun playing the beta. It exceeded my expectations. It had far fewer of the problems that I was very afraid it was going to have. And once we get regular-assed ground war, I think this game's going to be a lot of fun for multiplayer. And I'm very much looking forward to it. And the biggest problems are problems that I knew were going to be in the game, such as SBMM, cross-input play,
time to kill,
and the fast time to kill as some examples. And then the biggest problems that I didn't see coming aren't that big of a deal, such as the UI. Disaster, giant problem, true. But I don't really care. Because ultimately, I'll press all your fucking buttons. Shouldn't need to, but I'll do it. And then I'll load into the game and I'll have fun and I won't have to deal with your fucking menu. So overall, I'm like really very pleasantly, very, very surprised with the beta and how that portends to the launch of the game itself. I'm looking more forward to it than I was prior to playing, which is not something I expected to be saying right now.
Right, yeah. Yeah, my biggest things going into the beta were looking for visibility and map design. My map design worries were mostly... Those have pretty much been gone since we started seeing the map design when they started talking about things like a month ago or so I wasn't too worried about that. Sure enough, the map so far... Every map in this is better than every launch map we got with Modern Warfare 2019, so that's a great sign. They,
absolutely, true.
Way more 3-lane designs.
Absolutely.
Not these extremely porous, large maps anymore. And the visibility worried me after seeing Weekend 1, but most of that's gone for me. I think the visibility's in a pretty solid spot right now. And same with, like you said, I'm really looking forward to the game's launch now. I actually want to play the beta more, so we'll obviously be playing it more before the weekend. I need to hit max level so I can get that unlock of that little scar blueprint, so I can use that. But yeah, I do hope we see Hardpoint. I believe we will, probably starting tomorrow. Ooh. Hopefully Saturday we see Hardpoint. We're supposed to get it this weekend, supposedly. I would love to get that. Maybe drop some other little surprises in there, maybe drop another map or something. I don't know.
Regular ground war, ideally.
Well, it's supposedly in. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
You'll fucking see, because I would love to play regular ground war and not shoot bots. But yeah, overall, I think this beta has been pretty good. Like you said, the stuff that I see a lot of people complaining about, like crashing, it's like, of course you're going to. It's a Call of Duty beta. I crash every Call of Duty beta. That's one of the few things they fix beta from launch is most of the crashing. It's hard for them to have something that's going to be perfect for every different PC out there. So once the game launches, they see what problems are happening. They can pinpoint things. That's something they can easily fix. We'll see far less crashing when the game launches. And yeah, like you said, things like the UI are utter fucking dog shit, but it doesn't affect the game directly, so it's not that big of a deal. It deserves to be complained about because it needs to be changed. They did a terrible job on it. It's just terrible in every conceivable way, from the friends list of the gunsmith, all of it. But it doesn't affect the actual game itself, so that's good. But yeah, I'm very excited to get into it. Very excited for the launch of the game. And hopefully we have a game that I can play for more than a month this year. That'd be nice.
Yeah, agreed. So, all right, that's it, ladies and gents. Let us know your thoughts. This has been a long one, so we are signing off. Go to thedropshot.com. You can find links to all of our shit. And if you want early access to the episodes, if you want them ad-free, and if you want bonus episodes as well that also don't have ads, obviously, and you want to, or if you just want to support the program, patreon.com/thedropshot, one word. Best way to support the show, best for you and best for us. We've been getting a lot of new patrons because those people are smart, unlike you, and they want ad-free early eps. They want bonus eps. They want more. And we have a lot of great bonus eps coming up. So now's a great time to sign up. Patreon.com/thedropshot. Again, links to everything at our website, thedropshot.com. Thank you all for watching and listening. Have an excellent evening, of course. And as always, remember, stay humble.
Stay humble.